Latude!
And we start the stream with that battle cry.
It's what they've come to expect.
What happens if Latude is actually a Borg infiltrator? A Borg changeling infiltrator?
It's fairly robotic, so no one would really see it coming.
So a changeling who's disguised itself as a Borg, disguising itself as a human.
Since we've gone through the transport so many times.
I'm just thinking, is this like one of those Scooby-Doo things where you're just constantly ripping more and more masks off the guy?
It's just the same mask each time is the huge face.
So the real person behind the Latude mask is Latude.
Oh wait, no, it's another one.
Never saw
That's
that.
when you pull up.
You guys are going full Pratchett, masks all the way down.
It's when you eventually pull the final one off, and it's just sort of like you rip all of the skin off, and it's just like skeletal Latude. Skeletal Latude.
Skelitude.
And then he walks off the transporter pad and takes his station.
Skelitude and the masters of the transporter.
Before we get any further into this nightmare of cross-franchise pollination, I'm going to throw us quickly from that screen to this one. Hello everybody and welcome once again to the misadventures of the USS Navis, where we were discussing just now whether or not the transporter chief was in fact just a mass of masks. A mass of masks. No, even I'm not sure what I'm saying at this point. Which is a good start.
It could be Bertram's first experiment, a moss with a mask on.
Asked Moss, whatever next. Which, if anyone's watching this for the first time, makes absolutely no sense whatsoever, and they're probably turning off right around now. So,
You should start your stream with a disclaimer that says the thoughts and opinions of these individuals is that of their own and does not bear any resemblance to the Game Master.
Or indeed sanity as a whole.
You won't need sanity where we're going.
This is a one-way journey, straight down. Anyone who can name me the intro of that show gets kudos. No? Alright then. I keep the kudos for myself.
Well, not unless it was Games Master.
It was Games Master. Well done.
Yay!
You get kudos.
Yay, I get kudos!
It was before my time.
Yeah.
I vaguely remember it, but I... different
Right in the
versions of it,
chest!
but I can't remember the intro.
Is this dagger yours, Webby? I just pulled it out of my heart.
I want to hit Commander Andrews with my moss-based serum that ages by 10 years.
Before I go into asking why...
Because you just did a, well that was before my time joke, and I feel insulted.
Fine, I got you.
I'd say in game terms is that Andrews is technically younger than the whole lot of you by quite a few years, because she's only 3. She only has the mental age of 3.
I wouldn't say she has the mental
Well,
age, but she
back in
remembers
my
back
day-
as far as 3.
Well, back in my day,
I was going to say probably Edwards would be the youngest.
Physically, yes. What we're getting at here is that Andrews has got amnesia past 3 years ago.
I reckon Councillor Tannenbaum is the youngest because she was a clone construct assigned to watch us over that was only created a few weeks ago.
She definitely doesn't look the youngest now after doing double shifts for the past month. She's aged like 20 years.
Certainly more bags under her eyes than there were before.
Yeah, but
You
most
do
of them
know
were
you-
deliberately caused by you.
I don't know what you're talking about.
you know
She's-
Andrews didn't need to book in for an appointment twice every day.
Turns out, when you collapsed on the previous episode, it was just to put you had to put in a little thing in cybernetics to compel you to actually do something rather than boring her by staring at her.
And on that note, we go to a rather quick summary of what happened last week. So, let me think. It was Admiral Stoker, the admiral who was interested in ancient alien cultures in the Shackleton Expanse, who was also espousing a what she suspected was apparently some kind of conspiracy against people who have apparently made contact with some kind of alien intelligence or some such. And Admiral Stoker reckons that these people are being sent away quietly and misdiagnosed, I should say, as being schizophrenics, and being sent off to Starfleet Medical to be locked up. So Admiral Stoker has put the crew of the Navis on a special mission for just to scan a system way out near the edge of the Romulan neutral zone, but still within the boundaries of the Shackleton Expanse. If I recall, system HIP 73513, he says, looking at his notes. So this is a system that hasn't been scanned before, and Admiral Stoker was asking yourselves to go because it matches the location of one of the points of interest on a star map that you guys got a snapshot of when in an earlier episode when you visited the planet Bacchus 4. So that's why you came to this planet, and you found a system that was filled mostly with debris, mostly asteroidal, but some of it also planetary debris, like moons. So, bit of a mystery going on here. There are, as well as that, there's a very unique occurrence in astrological terms. There are two habitable M-class planets, or they were habitable, one of which smaller than the other, both of them orbiting around each other. These are known as Trojan Planets. But apparently both of them suffered some kind of extinction-level event that appeared to be the result of asteroid impacts, rather focused asteroid impacts on both of these planets, which of course kicked up massive dust storms, put lots of metals into the air, and caused death and destruction on a massive scale on both of these planets. Interestingly enough, the larger of the two planets was the more primitive. The smaller of the two planets appeared to be the one that housed a more advanced society, complete with a kind of mid to late 22nd century level space program, as they had space stations and satellites. But of course all of that is dead in the water now. So it was decided that after you sent a probe to investigate both planets, a place of interest came up on the smaller planet where you were just before the probe got destroyed by the atmospheric disturbances, let's say. The probe picked up a small monolith-type structure, 5-sided, with 5 smaller ones around it, that appeared to match the same materials as the monolith that you encountered on Bacchus 4, but also in Episode 1, if we cast our minds back far enough, on the planet of Seku 6. So it was decided that an away mission was needed, and since transporting down was more than likely a risky venture, we were going to take one of the runabouts down to the planet, and so an away team was being constructed. Now, if I remember, it was pretty much all the regular folks, Commander Andrews in charge, taking Lieutenant Thazanan, because, well, he's going to need to pilot the thing. Nova, for obvious reasons, she's a scientist as well as an empath, and she's good with tinkering with technology. Mr./Ensign Edwards, because of his expertise in xenoarchaeology and ancient technology. Natala, being the curious and sciencey type, is electing to go as well. Dr. Bertram, because every away team needs medical assistance, whether it wants to or not.
If there were another specialist that you wanted along for this, Commander, I do have 2 planets worth of detailed sensor analysis to be going over.
So, I think it was also agreed that Commander Vibers, the chief engineer, would be remaining on the Navis, and so the supporting character of Lieutenant Braavo from Security, which would be Okru Braavo, would be going with the away team. So, yeah, I suppose we start with, is that the composition of the away team as we want it, or do we want to make any changes to the away team? I think that's a pretty solid away team you've got there. You've got science, you've got tinkering, you've got the pilot to take you down, you've got the commander who has to be in charge of the whole embargo, you've got the doc, you've got the xenoarchaeologist. I think you're pretty good. Any advances on what was just said, or are we good with that composition for an away team?
That's good to
That's
me.
good.
I'm good with that.
Okay. Now, I seem to remember it was mentioned last that you guys were putting together some tools that you wanted to take. I remember Shaun mentioned that you wanted to make sure you took ropes so that you could tie each other to each other so nobody got lost. You're all going to have to be outfitted with EVA suits, that's to be sure. So, if I can direct everybody on Foundry to go to the items directory, just as I take us off of the intro theme music, let's switch to something a bit less repetitive. So, with the intention of going down to the planet. Now everyone, if you go to the items directory on the right-hand column, it's the one that looks like a suitcase. There should hopefully be a folder called character equipment.
Medical devices.
Yes, I have updated the list, so things are a bit more ordered than they were before, just one big list. There's a whole host of medical devices.
Neurocortical monitor, that's what I wanted to put on Andrew's last time after his little collapsing fit.
Right, yes. That's a good point. Yes, the madness with Commander Andrews' bionics. But moreover, if you go to the armor and protective gear, there's EVA suits. So if you open up your character sheets, if you haven't already done it, you can drag the EVA suit over into your belongings part of your character sheet, and it should slip right in there. Now your character sheet should have the default gear for every individual. As in the books, the core rulebook and the modules currently out for Star Trek Adventures. Curiously, there's a lack of the simple stuff like rope, so we will just assume, since you've already made Shaun made a point of mentioning it, that that is packed and ready to go. EVA suits usually have points on the suits where you can lock ropes and stuff to tie yourself down when you're, especially when you're EVAing out to the outside hull of a ship. So, were there any other things that you wanted to take quickly that I've neglected to remember?
Well, we've had wonderful luck with the pattern enhancers, if nobody's grabbed them yet.
Mm-hmm.
We might need multiple of those. I think each of those only allows 2.
There was the adaptive.
Ah, yes.
What it was called. But
Lieutenant Nova was trying to fashion an all-purpose interface for the crystal computer core that was taken from the monolith of Bacchus 4, which is a good point. I'm going to need Nova to give me, what did I say it was? A reason or an insight and engineering check. Let me quickly wheel back. It could be either daring or insight, whichever one you wanted to go with. Insight is less than daring, so daring and engineering to see if you can cobble together something quick and rough as an possible interface for this this alien computer core. If I remember, the reasoning was if this technology does indeed follow on similar, if not identical, to what you found at Bacchus 4, then potentially this computer core might be able to interface with it, which was a darn good idea.
No equipment I can think of, but I was thinking of either the communicators or tricorders, just something, adapting something that allow us to basically compensate for the atmospheric interference when it comes to communicating with the ship and being able to actually scan things.
Okay. Well, Nova succeeds at kit bashing something rough together, so it's not very elegant. It's mostly wires. So you've got the computer core, this elegant kind of crystalline device, kind of now slotted into a chrome circular base, but the different ports are just a mass and tangle of wires of various different shapes, sizes, and types. So they're kind of like roughly all wound together and packed into a bag for Nova to take with her. As far as something to compensate for the interference,
Probably something that with communication and emergency transporter link would probably be best used rather than actually the tricorder is thinking about it.
Well,
but I was thinking it could be a group go out involving potentially Vimes and Nova.
Vimes.
Not Vimes, sorry, Vibers.
Vibers. Yeah, since it's something you're preparing for, or ordinarily some pieces of equipment do have what's called an opportunity cost, which means you have to pay for it in momentum, but because you guys are being very thorough with this, I'll let that in there. The closest I've got as far as some people have already got pattern enhancers. An emergency transponder is also quite good in that case as well. Transporter operators call it the Screamer. So it's a very strong subspace signal emitter that helps let transporter operators know that this is like an emergency situation and you need to be beamed out just in case. The equivalent for a communicator... Alex, can you see in the character equipment list there's what's called an audio receiver?
Yes.
It's basically something you stick in your lug hole. You can probably repurpose an audio receiver to try and do something similar.
Okay, so grab one and then make a roll kind of thing.
Yeah, you might need Vibers' help with this because he's the chief.
It's why I also thought it's why I thought Nova, she's a tinkerer.
Are we having to spend momentum to pick up these additional items?
No. I'm being good with this because it's part of your preparation. So if you don't already have them, then you can use the replicators to replicate these equipments, and it comes under Andrews' survival training as well to a degree. That you're picking these things up just to be sure. So it speaks to me that we don't need to spend momentum for. I'm going to be nice in that regard. Speaking of Andrews' survival training, are there any things that Andrews wants to make sure peeps are bringing with them?
I've taken a Type 3 phaser.
Ooh.
Just in case.
Ooh. The Type 3.
Would that also potentially need modification for the atmosphere? Or...
Well, you don't know. You've not tried phasers.
Oh, good point, actually, yeah. So
is there a check I can make for basically checking people's EVA suits are fitted properly?
Well, hang on. Alex was just finishing saying something there, so say that again, Alex.
I was just saying, yeah, actually, you're right. He's never gone near the weapon, so that was it. I was just agreeing with you.
Okay, cool. So say that again, John.
Is there a check I can make to basically for Natala to be there at the door checking people's EVA suits are on properly?
No, I don't think so. This is just part of safety operations, safety protocols, and your EVA focus.
Between having both of those foci, it seemed like a thing that she would probably do.
Yeah, exactly. So there's no point in going too nuts with that. So, right. With that in mind, everyone has got their stuff that they want to take, and so
Are we taking?
Yep.
Just because I've seen it and stuff, are we going to take any sort of these wrist torch lights in case we find there's no light source down there?
I'm assuming so.
Okay. Just thought I'd mention it.
There's like basic away team stuff that I will assume that you will take. Anything real too outlandish, you might have to mention it now if you haven't already. But there's a certain level of accepted equipment that's going to be taken. Tricorders, wrist-mounted torches and stuff like that. Plus, there's always the runabout itself that can replicate stuff, so that's just in case. Right, are we all good?
Yep.
All right, then.
You want somebody mentioned when I was talking about the pattern enhancers that we need more than one. I have grabbed one. Did other people want to grab the other one or two?
That's a good point. Jan did bring it up. Does anybody else want to grab some pattern enhancers just in case?
I have one.
You have one? Okay, so that's...
I already got the transponder and the communication thing, so not me.
Nova is carrying the computer, the alien computer core. So maybe
I've
Lieutenant
grabbed one
Braavo.
from Braavo.
Yeah.
Bravo's picked up one of those, a
Cool.
wrist torch, and I think that's about it. I was thinking about picking up an Andorian weapon, but though I'm carrying enough phasers, it's probably all right.
You were going to carry an Andorian weapon.
I
Interesting.
don't
I
think
thought
you would
plasma
need
rifle might be a nice
wrist.
alternative.
Don't think you would need a wrist.
I don't think you need a wrist torch because the EVA suit should, in theory, have a torch built into it.
Yeah, but
And
it
being
is.
the one who brings a spare.
Yeah, there's that. Plus, the EVA suits have like forward-facing lights, so you know, it doesn't hurt to have a directional light that you can also have as well. So, but yeah,
I believe it's a decoy if I need to.
makes a good point. The EVA suits do have lights on them. Okay, so everybody crams into the runabout. Now, you're taking the California or the Carpathia? Is it the California or the Californian?
Californian.
Thank you. So we're taking the Commander's choice. Are we taking the Carpathian or the
Many Andrews
Californian?
does have a favourite.
Yeah, we're not taking the Californian.
That's why I assumed you were taking the Carpathian. So there we are. Nice to know that my instincts were on the mean.
We call it Vigo for short.
No, we don't.
Yes.
We call it Carpathia.
All right. Okay then. So the flight controller gives the Carpathian leave to depart. Since the Navis has already put itself in orbit around the planet, the Carpathian leaves and hits the atmosphere with little problem. So let's move us to the Carpathian. Now, as soon as the Carpathian hits the atmosphere, you are hit with a massive amount of turbulence, which the inertial compensators are... The inertial dampers, pardon me, are just about compensating for. There's a large amount of electricity, lightning flashing and flying about in the clouds. And Lieutenant Thazanan, as skilled as he is still feeling that the Carpathia is bucking under his control. The weather is so extreme. So, the ride down, you go through an obscuring blanket of rust-colored clouds, lit from within by flashes of electricity. Everybody has been secured to their stations with either grav harnesses or just plain old seatbelts. Remember those things? Seatbelts? They're great.
And they go the way of zippers.
Which the bridge had some.
Fuse boxes.
So I have...
These ones on the bridge. Doctor will get bored.
I have assumed the stations here, so feel free to correct me, but obviously Lieutenant Thazanan has to be the pilot because he's the most qualified. Nova being ops officer aboard the Navis would make sense to be ops, and therefore
I'd
co-pilot.
probably say that Nova and Andrews would be in different positions this
Okay.
round.
Yeah,
So then
absolutely.
Andrews is supporting Fazanan.
Okay, cool.
Second pilot.
Cool, so swap your seats around by all means. Yep, Natala, as usual, on sensors, and Edwards can, of course, monitor systems as well. Braavo from security is just basically out of console, not doing much. Nova can still do
There could be
ops.
seat in the front.
I have put the doc in the small sick bay.
Yep.
Further back.
That's where I am.
He's
Where you belong, boss man.
stuck in the
Just you
back.
wait till the. Just you wait till the next time you're under my scalpel.
I worry a
Wow.
bit that the medbed in the runabout is rather coffin shaped.
Two birds, one stone, you know.
Yeah. Multi-purpose.
So, as the runabout starts descending down through the atmosphere, the lightning arcing through the clouds gets more intense, and it's at this point that your two pilots start experiencing a great deal of discomfort with their prosthetics. So both Keval and Sophia, your ocular implants are starting to really ache, hurt at the point where the implant meets your actual flesh. So that point of interface between machine and your body is now starting to really hurt. Not painful, but that kind of awful niggling kind of pain. The same goes for Andrews's prosthetic arm. The point at which the shoulder joint meets the flesh, that's also starting
I'd like to point out that she's also got cybernetic heart, so she's really not in a good state.
Yeah, so she's in discomfort. It's not to the point where it's debilitating, but it's certainly distracting. So as such, I'm gonna create a complication directed at just our two pilots with painful bionics. So anything that you
Between the
attempt
two of
using-
us,
Yep.
we've got two good eyes, so we should be alright.
Yeah. So if you just close one eye, you each should be
Aye.
each other's depth perception.
But Keval will mention to the commander that I am suffering some negative effects on my bionic eye, Commander. I'm not sure if you suffering something similar.
Yes, definitely. I think it would be worthwhile is that ask, but we have Bertram is requested
Just
to see
as
if there's anything that can be done.
Yep, okay, so I'm assuming you're putting a call through to Bertram to get him to come to the bridge. That's fine. So Gareth, feel free to have Bertram move himself out of the comfort of just reading
That's
whatever
fine.
book
I
on
see, so
botany
I
he was
don't-
reading at the time.
I see, so I don't belong in sickbay anymore, do I?
Totally do. We just put you there. Now we need you for a reason. So
But
jump
as
back out.
Bertram comes through the doors leading onto the bridge, that is when there is a crash as you feel the whole ship rock and alarms start blaring in the cockpit, and all of a sudden, and I'm going to put threat to this as well, the complication flying blind. Your sensors, both long range and short range, all go out. So you're flying only through what you can see through the windows, basically.
I've got nothing, Commander.
Not only that, but you can feel that the ship is starting to descend quite rapidly.
I'm gonna find a place to brace, seeing as they just called me off my safe seat for this. So I'm basically gonna go by there because it's like, you know, a corner to brace in. So I don't really want to interrupt while we suddenly got hit by this situation.
Right, so I'm going to ask for anyone with a sciencey type inclination. I'm going to actually ask Nova, because at the moment Natala's bothered by the fact that her sensors have all gone out. Nova, since you're on ops, you've got access. You get the damage reading that the starboard nacelle just took a direct hit, and it caused a power surge to go through the warp core, which has basically knocked it out. You are now operating on emergency power, which is currently having a hard time powering the impulse engines and the inertial dampers. And the power is going down. So, I am going to want, with an assist obviously from his co-pilot, Pazanan is going to need to give me a control plus con check to see how well he can bring the runabout down. And unfortunately, you will get no help from the runabout itself. You can get help from... yes, go ahead, sorry. First, Jan.
I have pushed the limits, which reduces difficulty by 1 for damage or environmental conditions.
Okie dokes. So that will help.
Yep.
And yep. Sorry, was that it, or was that all?
And I assume small craft will be a usable focus.
Oh yes, indeed. Webby.
So at the same time as whilst Andrews and Pazanan are trying to stabilise the ship, is that Andrews will be requesting that Nova undertakes the full system restart to try and compensate power, whilst Natala and Edwards work on getting sensors back up, because at the minute we're flying blind. I think Braavo, what for the security and
I can look out the window.
Yeah, Braavo. Well, in the interim is have Braavo and Bertram kind of looking as far forward as they can out the windows.
Extra eyes. Good idea.
If your medical problems get any worse, Braavo might be the next best pilot.
Well, we'll see how we do.
Oh dear.
So if Braavo and Bertram can move to the front of the ship so that we can see that they are aiding the descent, at least as far as keeping an eye out. So
now between us, we've got organised.
Yes. So it's going to be a control plus con check. Andrews can do the same, unless Andrews wants to do control plus command to try and aid the effort by issuing orders.
Yeah, I'll take command.
Okay, cool.
Just 1 dice for me, isn't it?
Just the 1 dice for you, 2 dice for Kazan, and of course you can spend momentum if you really wish. Keval's...
Can I use Starfleet protocols for emergency situation?
Sure, I can go with that.
Basically going down the checklist.
Co-pilot going to check this.
So, 1 success. So, yes, Keval's talent does bring down the difficulty. 3 successes, 4 in all. You get 1 over and above what you needed. That adds back. Momentum. So, it's a rough ride, and there's a moment where all of a sudden, as you're going down, the shadow of a mountain just comes almost out of nowhere. And yeah, even those of you with only 1 eye to see this just in the nick of time as Keval throws the runabout to the side, just missing it by all of an inch, and the ship comes down with a thud and a skid, but it lands in what looks like, well, sand. It comes to a halt. Everyone gets thrown forward, so the two Bertram and Braavo are kind of thrown either atop the pilots or onto the consoles themselves. I'm going to ask for Braavo and Bertram to give me fitness and security checks, please, to see if you injure yourselves doing this. In fact, let me ask for fitness and security checks from everybody to see how well you do with being thrown forwards. Because the inertial dampers took some damage.
Yay!
What have I done to deserve this? Why, Matt? Why?
punched your head into
Now
a
you
console,
do
apparently.
have the advantage
Oh.
that Fazanan, with help, put you down on the ground very, very well. Okay, so Keval's fine, Natala's fine, Edwards is okay, bumps his face a bit on the console in front of him. Nova gets thrown from her chair and lands on the floor, but luckily doesn't bash her head against anything. Andrews. Okay.
Request for better seatbelts.
Bertram's
Natala
fine.
was in the floor. I think I pulled up the carpet and got underneath the console before this all happened.
Braavo managed to basically brace himself well enough, but Bertram kind of flails into Andrews, which drives Andrews forward, which smashes Andrews' head against the console. So I am going to tag Andrews with the bruised and battered trait. And it's at this point as well that the craft comes to a stop, and this is actually a really good point for me to switch us to. So you eventually turn off those alarms, and you're now on the surface. Now,
Obviously, you can see this is a good point to hear from our sponsors, Starfleet seatbelts.
I'm going to point out that Fazanan has piloted the Carpathia twice,
and crash.
and twice we have crashed. Now I know you're a good pilot.
I don't like this track record. Next time we take the Californian.
Yeah, the California never gets scratched. You got something against the Carpathia?
Can I just say there's the old adage, any landing you can walk away from is probably one than your co-pilot could do.
Right, I'm just going to send you something on Discord, Webby.
Getting back to the coffin. So there's a coffin in Carpathia. That's unusual.
If you look in the Discord channel, Gareth actually posted up a picture of Dracula.
It's Admiral Stoker's Dracula.
So, Stoker's
The
Dracula.
expanded original Starfleet conspiracy, a Gregory Latude production.
Oh, that's marvellous. Right, so, everyone else can busy themselves basically getting themselves up again. Bertram is on hand to be able to help Andrews, of course.
Yeah, that was what I was going to do.
Just excuse me for just 5 minutes. I've noticed that I've been left alone in my room and there are no lights on, so if I don't turn the lights on now, the people watching at home are going to not be able to see me. So,
yeah,
give me just 2 minutes.
Quickly whisper propaganda into the stream.
Ironically, if he doesn't switch the lights on, then Matt will be as much in the dark as we were during that landing.
It says it's a 20th rule of acquisition.
I believe the 20th rule of acquisition is only 3 rules of acquisition are any relevant. The rest we just kind of tacked on to make us seem more intelligent than we are. Look at our big ears.
Right, so can I get Bertram to give me a reason plus medicine check to give Andrews a check over? Can I get Nova to give me a reason plus engineering check to check on the ship's systems?
Can I use surgery as a focus to check Andrews?
You're not technically doing surgery, but I will allow biology.
Okay.
I use unknown my ship, or is this not determining the source of a technical issue?
This is determining the source of a
success.
technical issue, so you can use I name my ship.
Okay.
Bertram gets a success over what you needed. Braavo,
Edwards
20th
would
rule of acquisition. He who dives under the table today lives to profit tomorrow.
Edwards would offer aid to Nova if she accepts.
Yep, Edwards can aid Nova by all means. With that success...
If she lets me, that is.
Yeah,
So,
if you must.
yeah.
Reason plus engineering.
And then I would like Natala to give me a control plus science check for sensors, but using a tricorder, so it's a bit tenuous, but I'll let it go. Yeah, so Nova and Edwards, you put it together that the ship has suffered surprisingly little structural damage from the impact, but the main problem, of course, is the power systems. Most of the power conduits, the EPS systems, they suffered a surge from getting hit by the lightning, which blew out most of the warp power core, which feeds power to the ship, obviously. So the emergency protocols, shutdown protocols, were enacted so that the warp core didn't overload. But as a result, the reinitialization of the engines is going to be very difficult, if not nigh on impossible, without an engineer present. The ride down did, however, deplete most of the power of the emergency power systems. So in order to get the ship back up into orbit again, you're going to need to not only do some small repairs to the electroplasma systems, you're also going to need to find a way of recharging the onboard power in order to give the thing a kickstart. And in that regard, that's where we come to Natala's check.
Now, is this relating to something I've previously scanned?
Yes. Webby, how are you doing with that script that I just sent you?
Yeah, I've read through it.
Cool. So that's basically what happens in a flash. It seems to that scene plays via the input in Andrews's eyepiece.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Doctor, can you check my cybernetics, please? And also, am I still wearing the neurostimulator?
Technically, yes, because Viper's put it there to monitor whether or not you had another bionic shutdown again. So, yeah, that's still there. That makes sense.
I've been examining her wound, so when she says that, I'll see what I can see about that as well.
You've had 3 successes on that, so I'll allow you to ride those successes. The reading that Bertram gets on the cybernetics is that if they weren't internal, you'd swear they were picking up static, and that's what the irritation was, just constant sparks of static. But there seems to be some unusual energetic properties to the atmosphere here, which is obviously causing some kind of problem with the bionics. But it's only causing a problem at the point where the technology and flesh meet. So it's creating kind of an interference in the signals, like white noise, basically, on the signal carriers.
Yeah.
The same goes for Fazanan, of course, because of his bionic eye. Yeah. So if Bertram examines Keval, he will get the same kind of thing.
Yeah, I'll check Val before I answer Andrews. How's the bump and bruise that she took?
Still bumped and bruised, but that will need...
Is that an actual injury card, by the way, because you haven't put it on?
It should be there on your list of traits. It's kind of... The fact that it's a trait. It's a trait for now, not an injury. Because the injury wasn't serious enough to warrant an injury. but you've now got bruises and niggles.
Andrews will basically say, looks like you took a bit of a flesh wound on the landing. There's something in this environment that's causing some interference where your bionics interact with your biological aspects. Lieutenant Fazanan, in a moment I'd like to check your bionics checks to your nervous systems, etc. to see if the same thing. I suspect you'll be getting the same thing, but you might be getting some mild sensory overstimulation that's causing interference, for want of a better word.
And
By all means, Doctor.
Okay.
So around about this point, Bertram moves over. Because you had 3 successes from before, I'll allow you to carry that over here as well, because there's, you know what you're looking at, so it doesn't take you long to find the exact same issue. Natala, getting out a tricorder in order to try and use that to compensate for lack of sensors, whips out the tricorder. It finds that interference is still prevalent, but not as to such an extreme degree as it is in the upper atmosphere. But with 2 successes, Natala does detect a power signature not far away from where the Carpathia has landed. It's not huge, but it's a definite power signature, which is unusual on a planet where everything is dead.
I'm sensing a significant power source over in that direction.
Yeah, so Natala gestures in that direction. So, right, so Bertram completes his examination of those with niggling bionics. Nova and Edwards have basically come to the conclusion that the ship can be repaired, but it needs juice. And Natala has detected a nearby power source. So,
loath as I am to ask questions, is there any idea I can gather as to if it's a similar power source to anything we've seen recently?
at this distance, you're not sure. It's actually faint. It's not significant, but it's there. So, basically, your options are fairly limited. So it would make sense that your best bet would be to try and track down this power source to see if it's compatible with your ship systems and see if you can drain it or siphon it somehow and bring it back to the Carpathia.
Is there some sort of actual equivalent of like a battery or something we could actually take from the ship? Because we're going to charge it.
Somebody is going to need to carry it, of course, and that's going to be reasonably heavy and will, take up. You won't be able to. Whoever carries that won't be able to equip anything else while they're carrying it because they're basically using both their hands.
Really wish you brought the gravity sled. Oh well.
Oh well. So, you've all got EVA suits already. You've all gone to the trouble of taking precautions, so you don't really need to make any further preparations to exit the ship. Bertram will nod at the first appropriate opportunity.
That's to Webby.
To whisper back is /S.
Oh, right.
Slash,
Is that a whisper?
W and then the name, yeah. Oh, I
Okay.
forgot, GM can't actually see whispers.
Right, I didn't actually realise it was a whisper, sorry.
No, it's fine, it's not a problem.
Yeah, so /W, and then when you press space, it should give you a list of all the players. You just choose who you want, and then you type your message, and it should send, when you press enter, it should send that message to specific individuals. This would be a good test, actually, to see if I can actually see it. So, because in previous tools, like D20 Pro, the GM could see everything. But in Foundry, I suspect that you only see whispers that are sent specifically directly to yourself.
I just sent a whisper.
And I didn't see it, so there we go.
We can start the rebellion.
Yeah, so, I am assuming that you guys are wanting to basically look around and exit the ship. Unless you guys have different ideas. I'm thinking not then. So, the commander's in charge, and she's the one with focus on survival training. So it's definitely her show.
So yeah, the first thing is I think we do need to undertake some explorations in the area. Restoring power to the ship. Oh, have we checked if we've still got comms with the Navis?
You haven't checked. In fact, that's a darned good point.
I'll use the...
Navis to away team. This is Captain Ducasse. Can you hear me? Repeat. This is Captain Ducasse to away team. We registered a large buildup of energy and then your ship started descending. Can you hear us? Over. Away team. Away team, can you...
I'd like to try using
More...
the modified audio receiver to try and go back. Respond back. Captain. Captain.
You're coming through now, Mr. Edwards. Although, we're not sure how long we can hold the signal for. There's a lot of interference.
Ship's gone down. No casualties.
Commander,
We're out of
what is your
energy.
status?
We are safe at the moment, Captain. We are attempting to ascertain what caused the ship to descend at what speed, but we will be continuing with the mission as planned until further notice.
Acknowledged. Very well. Carry on away, team. Let us know if you need any assistance. Estimates put you about 200 meters away from the smaller monolith that we managed to scan from orbit. Suggest you use that perhaps as your first point of call, maybe to establish where to go next. We'll try working on things on our end. Our window to view is starting to close. Clearance is getting big. We'll see what we can't do on our end. Out. Alrighty.
Once we're outside, I'm gonna scan the environment for anything that could cause issues with people, like radiation, any biological or chemical things in the air that we should be aware of.
Okay. So scanning for anything that might be a biological problem. Well, you've all got EVA suits, and thanks to Thazanan's expert landing, the damage to your EVA suits was negligible, if not entirely non-existent. So they're still all pretty well sealed, but feel free to give me a control plus medicine check to see if you can use the tricorder to identify anything that you might need to.
So, medicine. Success.
Successes, nice. So, no radiation. That's the good news. Obviously, the conditions out here are not conducive to life, as the dust storm that's blowing in, you can just see sparkling traces of metals just racing past you and scratching across the outer layers of your EVA suit. So obviously the problem here is you've got metallic dust in the air, which has seeped into the soil, which has contaminated the water, which has caused untold amounts of atmospheric disruption. It's a big mess.
Yeah.
You don't reckon anything possibly could be, not even microbes are alive at this point.
Right.
Nothing to feed
So.
on.
Sorry.
No, I was just going to say, there's nothing I kind of reckon will penetrate the EVA suits like on its own without sort of like obviously other things damaging it. I'll bear that in mind in case any of us have any sort of EVA suit breach, so that I know what it is I need to try and treat ASAP.
Yeah, I think the biggest, with 2 successes on that, the biggest risk to anybody is if their EVA suits get breached. If any part of their skin is open to the wind, it's going to be like the outer layers of their skin are going to be flayed off.
Yeah.
So any breaches in EVA suits would need to be repaired as quickly as possible for that to happen. Okay.
Ask
Yep, go on.
something about the EVA suits.
Mhm.
Just how are they actually working? Is it a air filtration kind of system, or is it allotted amounts of O2, oxygen?
They're basically spacesuits, and because they're 24th century spacesuits, because they're 24th century spacesuits, a lot of the stuff you expect, like filters and an internal oxygen supply, are all as miniaturized as far down as they can be. Each EVA suit has its own power supply, which powers not only the air filter and the input of oxygen and whatnot, but also, of course, the magnetic boots that you can use if you really need to. So, as Davis said, space magic. But
there's also air circulation and filtration as well, so that your CO2 you breathe out is recycled.
Okay, so it was just more of the whole. If it's purely of filtration, how long can the
filters last against this onslaught?
Yeah, that was more where I was going with this.
Yeah, so obviously these aren't ideal conditions at all. So filters will eventually start getting worn down, at which point the EVA will have to rely on internal air supply. So obviously the longer you're out in this, the more worn down your EVA suits will become. But they're pretty tough stuff, so as long as you're not down here for days on end, you should be okay, but that of course depends on anything else you might find along the way. So you have a rough direction in which to proceed. Is there anything else anybody would like to do, or any preparations to make before you start off on your journey?
I think it'd be worthwhile. So someone else can speak.
No, go.
I think it's just going to be worthwhile finding out what. Well, Nova is our best engineer at the minute, so finding out what she needs to try and get the engines repaired, along with having Natala and Edwards trying to work on comms and scanning as much as they can for the area, whilst Faznan and blah blah.
Bertram.
No, Faznan and
Braavo.
Braavo. Yeah, kind of scout.
Cool.
And then obviously the Doctor seeing what he can do to defend, to bolster.
Do you want me to have a look at your cybernetics to see if there's anything I can do to reduce the issues that you're having?
Potentially.
Yeah.
Or perhaps, actually, that may be a thing, if whether the Doctor can... I can't think which the drug is that they use a lot. Which is basically one of the pain drugs for both Faznan and Andrews.
That is in there, actually. Drugs...
Is it cortisone? No, cortisone is a normal, is a real word.
Axonol? No, that's the gaseous anesthetic. You don't want to anaesthetize people.
Just listen to this.
It wasn't Triox. Was it Letrozine? No, that's cardiovascular. Hyronoline, general treatment, radiation poisoning. So it's not that one. Although that would be useful.
Effectively, don't you?
It's fine. It's
there
just
we are.
large amounts of morphine.
hydrocortisone. There it is. Used for headaches.
Oh, just give him a liter of morphine in his veins, it'll be fine.
Is that doesn't have side effects?
A shot of everything and see what happens.
Yeah, we'll go with that, and then next time the engines goes down, we'll just inject some antimatter directly into the fins and see how that goes.
What are you going to say, Jan?
I'm sure the doctor is aware that Andorians have a higher metabolic rate, so he will adjust my dosage appropriately.
That is a good point. Andorians tire faster than humans do, because their metabolism's so fast. So
Well, I'll start with fellow human Andrews, and once I've worked out what she needs, I'll go over to you and try and use my biological knowledge to adjust the dose.
So
yeah, have some moss.
What you can do, if you really, really want to, is if you're willing to spend 2 momentum, you can basically counteract the complication that I created by creating an advantage that counteracts it.
Is that 2 momentum per person or 2 momentum in general?
In general, just 2 momentum to create an advantage that counteracts my disadvantage that I gave you.
I'm good with doing that.
Everyone else fine with that?
Yeah.
All right then, knock down 2 momentum. So the doc does his best and manages to create a concoction that, at the very least, cloaks the irritation, so that both Andrews and Fazanan don't feel the need to constantly squint the one eye.
Okay, I'll be doing the stuff with Andrews in sickbay to make sure she's first, and I believe Fazanan was actually working on stuff first, so I can get to him later.
Okay, so you wanted the Keval and Braavo as the scouts, so they're going to range ahead a bit. Natala was keeping an eye on sensors, which is basically using the tricorder, including the geography. What's the word I'm looking for? When you take a look at topography. There we are. To get a good eye, kind of a rough estimate of where you guys might be. Nova, most of the repairs should be fairly easy to do once you've got power back to the runabout. You could then just replicate replacement parts, put the conduits back in, and you should be able to restart the ship. But you need juice to give it. Glances at ship, uninterested, as if distracted. Catalyzing the poker press going, it's nothing. I don't have one. Empath ability to search for another hello. Okay then. Alright. So, unless there's anything else anybody else wants to do, it's time for you guys to trudge onwards. So, the first thing I'm going to ask is for the scouts. Let's see, so Braavo and Keval. Can I get you to both give me insight plus security checks to see if you notice anything? You can either aid each other or you can do separate. Actually, let's do a combined one. Who wants to be the principal? Insight plus security, so it's going to be an 8 and a 5.
Keval, you're the main character.
That's fine.
Yes, but how good am I at insight? Okay, I'll do it. Can I get a focus for security procedures?
Security
Or
protocols?
security protocols.
Okay, yeah, I'm good with that. That's fairly well justified. Yeah. So you got 1 success already. You just need 1 more. So 3 successes over and above. So you've already got those 2 momentum that you spent creating the advantage back. So there we are. All right. So leading the team forwards as carefully as you can. The place is basically like trudging through sand. There's so much fine metallic dust everywhere. Obviously, this has had a long time to build up. So there's a lot of like loose metallic sand everywhere. So there's hills, there's dips, there's troughs. occasionally there are bits that you're not sure look terribly stable, so you have to lead people around. But you are going in the general direction, and Natala can confirm that you are going in the correct direction to find this smaller power source. But you both notice something sticking up out of the sand, for lack of a better word. It looks like the ruins of what used to be a house, but it's been eroded to the point where it's barely two corners, well, one corner, two walls making a corner. But it looks like there's something metallic in there.
Commander, have a look at this.
Did you just seriously cup your mouth to the microphone to make a microphone sound?
I might have.
If I could award you a momentum for that, I would, but I can't. So, just for... that was brilliant. So...
Andrew is here. Please go ahead. Over.
What the hell? Momentum for everybody for that.
It's gonna be one of them nights. Yeah.
It's always one
We
of
call
those
them
nights,
Tuesday
and it's
nights.
wet.
It's okay for wine.
Quick, spend it. Ask questions. No, wait.
No. Not the questions!
Oh, no, I should
It
spoke
wouldn't have
up. I
been
just
so
woke
bad
up
if we
my
hadn't spent
home
extra momentum to make more questions.
Well, moving on, dealing with the situation as we have it now. Yes, the scouts have noticed something, so everybody comes up to what looks like the ruins of an old house that's been eroded down to nothing much. But you pick up a kind of what looks like a handheld device. It's something that's easily grippable by a humanoid with a typical humanoid amount of digits, 4 fingers and a thumb, and it appears to contain some kind of crystalline lens in it, as well as some small rudimentary control, but fairly small controls.
Try to examine it. Best I can. Well, I'm being aware. I'm not touching it first. It's the cursory examination.
Okay, so you're using a tricorder, yeah?
Yeah, tricorder and no
Okay,
knowledge.
so that'll just be a control plus science, and you get to add your
Ancient technology?
Ancient technology. Yeah, let's throw in your ancient technology to have a good old look at what it might be. Make this a difficulty 1. You need 1 success. The anticipation. Okay. Complication.
Translation: you found ancient technology, but accidentally activate the ultimate nullifier.
Oh, he drops it on the floor and breaks it.
I'm not touching it, I said.
Another death laser that's going to take out the galaxy.
Oh, shiny.
Oh, shiny. Oh, whoops.
And now Edwards will show you how to break a fully armed and operational battle station.
I just found the portable big red button and I activated the weapons that have been on standby to nuke the planet again.
Unfortunately, age had corroded the bit of the sign that said "Don't" in the fin. Don't press.
All you saw was press. And then Nova couldn't help herself. Okay. Sorry, I'm just checking some messages. Yes, the big red button being furiously pressed. Let me think. Right, so Edwards does manage to give it a scan, and the atmospheric interference is getting seriously painful to try and compensate for. So Edwards, using his experience with kind of overclocking systems, like back when he was doing his own archaeology, you usually had to make do with the equipment you had, and sometimes that meant doing little tweaks to the thing to get it to operate above its above its factory settings.
I'm
So
about to blow up the scanners.
yeah, sadly, yes, that's what happens. You overload the tricorder's little miniature scanning array. But before you do, you get a reading that this thing is some sort of. It's got a data chip in it, which still appears to have magnetic readings on it, which would suggest that it's some kind of computer chip similar to what we use these days. So information is encoded in magnetic.
Is this a ritual for you? Every time you land on a planet, you destroy an object.
like Keval crashing a runabout, it's becoming a habit.
I've done it 2 out of 3. I didn't do it in the cat world.
So there's basically a data core in this thing, but the crystalline lens appears to be some kind of projector.
Can I borrow a tricorder? This is some sort of projector. It's potentially some sort of memory chip and a projector.
Okay, so why don't you ask one of the scientists to have a look at it then, Mr. Andrews, if you're going to blow up another tricorder. They are expensive, it will come out of your paycheck.
But haven't they both gone off on this scouting mission without us?
Well, do we get paid?
Oh wait! Oh, I got. I thought we were all here. Not that the other two have gone on without us. I thought we've all caught up.
You have all caught up.
I was going to say,
the scouts are standing slightly away from everybody else because they're keeping an eye out. But as per the commander's
someone
orders,
else would like to give it a go. Given my fortune so far, I am wary to handle this artifact myself.
Nova.
Yeah,
this
it's
counts
coming out
as,
your pay, Mr. Andrews. No, Mr. Edwards.
I'm being paid.
Nova, your curiosity at how things work becomes very prevalent here.
Well, I'm going to take it apart.
Yep. So can I get Nova to give me a... let me see. Since you're just taking it apart, let's go with daring and engineering here.
I'll say... oof. Okay.
With tinkering technology as a focus.
Okay.
Now, thanks to Edwards, you've identified what its purpose might well be, so this is only going to be difficulty 1 as well.
Okay.
Right. Okay. Alright then. So, you managed to figure out how to get the... You pulled the bits apart, and you actually figure, oh, hang on a second. If I... And, Nova basically pulls out her own communicator. Pulls her communicator badge apart. And, well, I correct my own communicator badge. It was askew. Pull bits of your own communicator badge out to take out the power source of your communicator and plug it into the projector, at which point the projector kind of springs to life and projects an image. The image appears to be that of, and this, to give you a really good kind of mental insight as to the quality of what you're seeing, you're basically looking at someone recording themselves as they're running. So, as such, the camera work, as it were, is rather unsteady. But you get a projection of a canine humanoid wearing, for lack of a better word, what you would equate to a lab coat, but it's dusty, it's torn. There are the color is a bit washed out. As such, it's difficult to tell for sure. But there are a couple of rather some rather dark stains that look a bit too much like arterial spray. And the individual in the view himself seems to have a head wound, which is bleeding. And the background, as you will see it's a he, it's that of, every now and again you get a glimpse of buildings as he's as he's moving past them, and some of them are in flames, others are in pieces. As I read to you the following, just find where they...
This is Dr. Agran of the Foreign Science Institution on behalf of the people of the Roloa Shao.
There is a pardon me. There's a massive explosion behind him, which he ducks instinctively before carrying on.
To whomever receives this message, know that we brought this on ourselves. Our arrogance, our hubris, have resulted in this apocalypse. We were too sure of our own superiority, and though our motives may have been pure, they were born of a false sense of our own importance.
At this point, the shot shows that the Doctor has moved inside of a building. He passes scores of banks of advanced technology, as well as scientists and workfolk who are scrambling to exit the building past him.
I told them not to, but they did it anyway. And now, we face the consequences of our actions.
At which point, the Doctor can be seen activating what looks like some kind of time capsule, almost. It looks like a miniature rocket, portable rocket, where he is loading numerous, what look like data cores into it.
I only wish that we had more time.
And at that point, the signal cuts out. Now, as you look around, you realize that you can now see, scattered amongst the worn debris, parts of that time capsule rocket. It looks like it never made it out of orbit. And it landed here in this spot, maybe even inflicting some damage on the building. And that's when the hologrammatic device actually goes pop, and it catches fire in Nova's hands, and she's forced to drop it and stamp out the fire. Which unfortunately means that Nova's now lost the power, the power to her communicator.
She wasn't using it.
So.
Oh.
Go on.
We're not that far from the runabout. Brother's gotta go. If it's quick enough, he's gotta run back, grab a spare communicator, and hand it back before, so I can find Nova when she falls in a ditch.
The EVA suit probably has its own built-in communication system at present. So as long as the EVA suit's still functioning, it's not a problem yet.
Cool.
And you've been walking a fair way for the moment, so going back and then coming all the way back again would add more time.
Fair enough.
So, anything anybody wants to do, or do you want to carry on?
Any more of those data cores lying around? How we know what they look like?
You have a look. You rummage around in the worn-down rubble, and you come across a device with a like a rack of these little data cores in them. Maybe from the positioning in what's left of this house, it was some kind of entertainment system, perhaps. where they could select and watch from various different hollow crystals. However, they've been exposed to the elements, and they are they've been worn down, so that they are all the tech is currently compromised.
That'll be good
Therefore,
for someone's dinner display. Put it in the pocket.
So you're putting something in your EVA suit's pockets.
I've got a souvenir now.
Okay. Anything else anybody else wants to do, or do you want to move on to the nearby power signal? Moving on to the nearby power signal.
Yep.
Okay.
Move on the way, see if there's any way of salvaging or repairing the tricorder.
You would have to make. You basically would have to replace the little sensor array at the front of the device, which is its primary function. So not really. You would need a replacement part.
Fair enough.
Ensign, have this one.
No, it's all right. You
I
need
can't.
it.
I can't shoot at things and scan at the same time. You might as well.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Guys in.
You do not own a token with vision on this scene.
No, you don't, because I forgot to bring peeps in. So let me.
So if you want the
care of that.
grenades, then apparently we can just wire our tricorders and communicators to do it.
So let's bring y'all in. So the scout guys were at front. Commander was somewhere at the back. Rearrange these however you wanted them to be. But there you go. You eventually come across a pentagonal, well, monolith. This one, though, surrounded by 5 smaller ones. They are nowhere near, obviously, as large as the one that you have met on Bacchus 4. But those of you who are on Seku 6, these are of, or the main one at least, is of a similar size and scale. Considering that the sheer amount of erosion damage that's happened to most everything on this planet, the fact that this monolith is standing out and appears pretty much unscathed is, well, nothing short of miraculous. From this distance, the monolith is mostly just a shape. As you get closer, you do notice that there's a lot of intricate workings on the outer walls of the monolith that look almost like intricate circuit pathways, but they've been literally carved into, somehow been carved into the faces of the monolith. The smaller ones are more blank. They've not got as intricate designs on the outer faces. And there's also what looks to be a rather corroded but unmistakably some kind of interface panel made entirely of technology that looks very similar to the types that you've come across thus far in the ruins of the buildings you've come across. If that makes any sense. Because I used to come across at least twice there. But Natala can confirm that the small power reading she read on her tricorder seems to be coming from either the monolith itself or somewhere near it. So what would you like to do? Commander, you're in charge.
Well, Mr. Edwards had an opinion of what he wanted to do.
No, I was going to wait till anyone else. I was basically hanging back here and waiting to see the order and what does someone else do. I don't want to break another thing first.
Yeah, I think our 2 scientists would probably be the best 2 to observe the actual monolith. And then again, our 2 scouts would probably be wise to actually go and check the local area around, see if there's anything else. And then
Any other ideas from anyone else?
I was wondering whether Edwards might be able to go through some of this time capsule to tell us more about these people. That is within his wheelhouse.
Well, he'd have to go from what little he saw on that holo projector. Because unfortunately it got burned out. So we've got no way of re-referencing it, sadly. But can certainly make educated guesses, if you really wanted to. So far we've got put the sciencey types up front to examine the monolith, have the two scouts have a look around, Edwards maybe have a think about what you've learned, but how to interpret what you might think these people might have been like. Have I missed anything?
Probably wouldn't want to hazard a guess until we have more information.
Okay, so the sciencey types. Nova can more than likely take a look at the monolith or the interface panel. Natala would be a good choice, potentially, probably, going on Andrews's recommendation to do a scan of the monolith, along with Edwards. The Doc at the moment will be mostly concerning himself with monitoring everybody's EVA suits, and also, of course, monitoring Andrews and Fazanan.
Yeah.
So, let me see. If I can get Natala to give me reason plus science, to see what she learns of the monolith. Nova can also give me... Actually, you've got tinkering, you'd like to pull things apart, so I'm going to go with daring and engineering again to see what you can, what Nova could make of the interface panel. 3 successes.
Am I doing a separate check or aiding?
That's up to you. Do you want to aid in examination of the monolith, or did you want to go with what Natala suggested and...
I said I wouldn't want to hazard a guess without more information.
That's not very archaeologist of you, Alex. Watch More Time Team. They love making massive amounts of guesses from tiny, tiny scraps.
No,
this here is a 14th century love art made by the Romans. It is,
nope,
even though the Romans weren't from the 14th century, I've claimed it to be.
He'd probably go for the monolith, but also going over previous data from the Bacchus system.
There are two types of people in this world: those that extrapolate from incomplete information.
There are 10 types of people in this world. Those who understand binary and those who don't.
He'll give his own thing using, one of his, at least one of potentially 3 or 4 focuses he could use on this.
Pick one.
Let's keep with xenoarchaeology.
Okay. So is this this will be aiding Natala with her examination of the monolith? Yes or no? I'm just trying to get clarification.
Yeah.
Okay. And you're making a note of comparing it versus the other things. Okay, cool. Okay. Forgetting for a moment that Edwards forgets for a moment that his tricorder is busted. He whips it out and then goes, "Oh, yeah, right," and then kind of looks at the monolith and looks over Natala's shoulder as she's down
give him a
readings she's getting, which do confirm that this is made of the same kind of material that you did find on both Seku 6 and Bacchus. This shows no evidence of any hollow, of being hollow, so it's one complete part. With 3 successes, what you find is that the power source you're detecting is actually coming from way down below. There appears to be a geothermal vent, and the monolith seems to be absorbing, or at least channeling, some of this thermal energy into itself. It's small, but it's there, and it's using
Actually, the missing link.
It's using the circuit-like designs on it as an actual pathway that the energy is coursing itself through. Nova, pulling that interface panel apart, you realize that similar in design to the small handheld device that we saw moments ago, this is basically a bigger version of it. In fact, with 3 successes, you would go so far as to guess this is some sort of information hollow, like the kind of thing that tourists would come across when they come across a landmark. It's a bit beaten up and weather beaten, but with 3 successes, you reckon you could probably get the thing to work. There does appear to be a data crystal in there for containing data on a hollow crystal.
Is it similar to the crystal that I have, or?
Which one? The hollow projector or the computer core?
Computer core.
Ooh. 3 successes.
My theory is no.
It's... There are small similarities, but the computer core is way ahead, more advanced.
I rather suspect that the recording we just saw is of a people that were basing their technology on stuff they found that was far older than them. That their civilization was maybe not even related to these more ancient devices that were on their planet. They developed in an environment where these things were sitting around them.
With 3 successes, Nova reckons that if there is, as Natala noticed, power coming from the monolith, maybe if something were to give, if you were somehow able to give the a boost to the power signal, you might be able to reactivate the information booth if you wanted to.
Yeah, let's see what happens.
You've both got quite a few successes. Natala and Nova together. A phaser might do it. Due to the strange absorptive qualities of the monolith, maybe a low-powered phaser shot might actually...
We can make a setting for just about anything. They're a beautiful device.
So, you could both work together to maybe modify a phaser so that it does a small amount, to take away its destructive ability and just make it an energy beam.
Reason engineering?
Yeah. Nova can feel free to do a daring in engineering, because she's a bit more seat of her pants type. Who wants to be the principal?
Yeah, I don't mind leading.
Probably good for Nova to be the principal because of her tinkering focus. Meanwhile, can I get Braavo Fazanan to also give me insight and security checks to see what they notice on the near horizon? Oh, blimey! Nova's on fire today! So's Natala.
Must be all those exploding tricorders.
So apparently, crashing into a planet does wonders for your ability to put things together in a pinch. Brings the team together. There was a complication.
Quite
Okay.
If you fall down a hole again, I'm not going to save you.
Well... Okay. Davis, could you do Braavo for me, please? Give Fazanan a hand, just 1 dice. Insight and security check to check the near horizon.
Find the hole that Keval just fell down.
Okay.
Fine.
Okay. All right. So,
Quicksand! It's quicksand!
pretty much. The wind starts getting up a fair amount, and there's a momentary, very strong gust, which blacks out, not blacks out, but it kind of consumes vision for a moment. And Keval, well, you're not sure which way's back to the team. Braavo, however, Braavo's just looking around for anything on the horizon, and Braavo has apparently not noticed that Keval is not within his eye line anymore. So, I'm going to give Bertram and Andrews a chance to notice that their two scouts, one of their two scouts is missing.
What we rolling?
So that's going to be, let me go with insight and security.
Can I use my survival training focus?
Yeah, I think this would be a very survival orientated. Like, let's count it.
Oh, yeah.
1, 2. All right.
Am I rolling 1 or 2 dice, by the way?
Since he's just rolled 2, you might want to roll 1.
Oh, sorry, I didn't realise. I thought we were both doing it. I didn't realise.
That's fine. That's fine. Do you want to add momentum? Never mind. 1 success. So you got 2 successes overall. So.
This is where Bertram goes. Keval's disappeared and goes wandering off into the sand.
I'll save you! Save me!
No, I think I will take that complication and just add 1 to threat. But yes,
already screwed ourselves up too much this spin. He's letting us. He's saving that to screw us over later.
Cough. Yeah, Bertram. Andrews, of course, goes notices some time has passed and goes to the survival protocol of count everybody in the inside to make sure everybody's still there. 1, 2, 3, 4. Wait a second, we're down 1. At which point Bertram looks up from what he was doing and backs up Andrews, going, hang on. Yeah, we're missing 1. Yeah, so you notice that Keval's not within sight. Obviously the wind is getting up and visibility is down. So let's solve. Yep, go on.
By telepathy?
Ooh, good thought. Go on then. Insight and command.
Using Betazoid skills as sonar.
One success. Alright, yeah. You reach out, Braavo reaches out with his telepathy and discovers Keval's thoughts. And they're currently thoughts ranging from anxiety at not being able to see anything, and also a small amount of wounded pride that he now knows he needs help from everybody else.
Can I see a rough idea of which direction these thoughts are coming from?
You've got a rough idea, but you would need to test confirmed.
Okay.
So yes, you got a rough idea of the direction, but it's not exactly sonar.
Commander, I could do with a survival expert if someone's free.
Yep, definitely a good choice.
I think he's this way, but I get the feeling he's got a mouthful of sand and doesn't know where he is.
At the moment, the storm is also playing havoc with communications, so even if Keval was yelling into his comms,
yeah,
getting
so
static.
I'm going to kick in kind of like the hey, let's fire a flare, but use it as a phaser blast and just fire a phaser on a narrow beam for several seconds in the air.
Okay. So yeah, let's do insight plus security then for Andrews, aided by the same for Braavo, and aided. The focus will be in survival and whatever else.
Stopping protocol. Yeah.
And Keval gets to aid this as well because it's him trying to notice it. So if Keval can give insight and security as well as an aid.
So
Is that you just shot him?
it reacts with the metals in the atmosphere, and it sort of just fizzes everywhere.
All right, so 1 success. Okay. Okay. Okie dokie. Let me think. So, Andrews fires a phaser beam into the air with a handheld phaser. The phaser beam, interestingly enough, as it goes straight up, it then starts to curve, and like it's being drawn towards something. And sure enough, even though they can't see from where it comes from, Edwards and Nova and Natala are suddenly alarmed by the fact that a phaser beam comes out of the storm and then just gets sucked right into the monolith, which glows brightly red, the same color as the phaser beam, for a few moments, which kind of you kind of are knocked back a bit. The two who are actually standing up, Natala and Edwards, are kind of knocked over into the sand. Nova might kind of bump her head against the console a little bit before it goes pretty. As all of a sudden the monolith kind of thrums with power, and it illuminates all the the circuit-like patterns on the monolith itself. Keval, rather than being drawn towards where Andrews and Braavo are, it gets more of a light show from the monolith, and is therefore able to use that as a visual aid to finding his way back to the others. And as basically do everybody else, because the monolith is now thrumming slightly with red energy, so I'm gonna just throw in something very, very quick here. Let's go with something like that. As you kind of use that as all of you use that as a visual aid to find each other again. Yes.
That was unexpected.
Can I reach out with empathy, see if it's got a core that's powered now?
It doesn't. You're not getting anything from the monolith, but what you do get is a sudden surge of energy that powers up the kiosk or whatever called it in front of you, and the thing surges to life, and it displays a hologram of another canid individual, not the same one that you saw. This one is just a fairly plainly dressed one, but dressed smartly, and just kind of flickers into existence here. Let me see. Something.
Greetings, citizens. Welcome to the Pentarus Monolith. Dated at over 5,000 years before our common era, scientists and archaeologists the world over have remained unable to discover who built the monolith or to what purpose. Many have guessed that the monolith served a ritualistic purpose, perhaps as a meeting place to celebrate festivals or to allow our distant ancestors to chart the course of the stars above. Whatever its true purpose, the Pentarus monolith remains one of our world's most prized historical sites. Fashioned from a material long since lost to ancient history, the Pentarus and its big brother monument, the Pentarion, helped early scientists create marvels such as the earliest heat-powered machines and even three-dimensional image capture. And though the language of the writings on the monolith and its sibling helped inform our own people's systems of language, we still to this day have not been able to fully decipher the meaning of the carvings on either of these important structures. As our civilization continues to thrive thanks to the painstaking discoveries made in analyzing these incredible ancient constructions, we look towards the future with hope, whilst also looking to our past with thanks. For more information on the history of the archaeological studies conducted on the Pentaurus and the Pentarion monoliths, please consult the National Historical Archives.
And the hologram fizzles out. And the monolith stops glowing.
So, this is the smaller of the two. Where's the bigger one?
Well. You have means of potentially discovering where the bigger one might be. There's either the topographical map, as incomplete as it was, taken by the Navis, stripping it down for fun.
It's the thing with the big array on top, surely. So it's that way.
Yeah. You can certainly gain an idea of where the array is from your current position. It'll take a little bit to get there, but it's certainly within walking distance. If that's where you want to head.
Commander?
Yes,
I think
indeed.
it's worthwhile that we continue. Unless there's any objections from anyone.
No objections.
So,
Okay. So you proceed onwards. So as well as Braavo taking a couple of small souvenirs, Nova appears to have taken some of the parts of the informational holo display apart to keep for herself, so she can figure out how it works fully later on. In the
Especially
meantime,
the crystal.
shiny crystal indeed.
I'm impressed that they actually managed to link their own technology to survive inside the monolith.
That's the point, actually. Can we see how they've managed to do the interfacing to give myself a better idea of how I could link technology to it?
Okay, that's fair. Yeah, insight and engineering would be a good one. Anybody? I think Edwards. Edwards with his ancient technology would be a good aid as well. As a basic aid, Natala could just plain old aid. I'm not sure any of the foci apply. So you can be aided by two people and Nova be the prime. Oh, never mind. Blimey! Crikey day.
My name is Erienne Nova, and I do not fail.
I did use a momentum.
You did use momentum. Okay.
Yeah, sorry.
Okay.
I'm not sure that you needed to, because you've
Well,
already
you got it
been playing
back.
with this thing.
We had Max, so I was just using it because we've got it.
Yeah,
Nobody
I'm
else
pretty
is.
sure you had the extra dice for free anyway, because you were testing a theory.
Either way, even if you did spend a momentum, you get it right back from all those successes that you managed to get. So, yeah, okay. So, with that, yeah, it seems that the people who once lived on this planet have very much based their technology on what can be discerned from the inner layout of this monolith. Their data crystals try and emulate it, and you see from the way that computer chips, the computer chips, what some of them that are still remain intact, they try and use a similar construction method to create the paths for the chips. And as a result, it means that they've managed to create technology that seems able to draw power from various sources rather easily, and has the capacity for a impressive amount of storage. It's not quite as advanced as the monolith itself, but it's obviously based upon, so is a close emulation of, if you get what I mean. So with that in mind, if you found any more technology, you would probably have a good basis to interface with it, if you found any more. So yeah. Any... Now, when I say questions, I don't mean spend the momentum and ask me a question. Were there any specific things you were looking to get out of that I may have forgotten that you did ask me, or made a point of?
It was just the interfacing, really. That was the main thing. So I think we got that. And
yeah. So in basing their technology, in basing their technology on the monolith and its monolith, they interface with it.
I think it's more that if Nova needs to in the future make something that interfaces with this technology, then Nova might have an advantage for that.
Yeah.
I think that was the point.
Yeah, certainly, especially with 4 successes. That's a very good understanding now that Nova has of how these people's technology works, and because it's based off of the kind of internal crystalline matrix of the monolith, in how it channels energy and distributes it so easily, their interface is pretty easy, because it's just one thing based off of another, and therefore interfaces it rather well. So
they developed their entire understanding of science and technology off of this culture that they didn't understand.
Entirely probable. So you do have a reasonably good idea as to where to go next. Natala having the topographical data to go from. So if you want to head over to that large array, you definitely have a good basis now to decide which direction to go, because you've got this landmark here, which will help you see that you're actually not that far from it. It's another 40 or so minutes of walk, but you're not far at all. So, is there anything else anybody else wants to do while they're here at this monolith, or do we want to trudge ahead? Trudging ahead it shall be. Okay. So, you guys make a good bit of headway now that you have a better idea of where you are, and eventually the storm starts to subside enough that you can see a very tall shape in the distance. In fact, a pair of tall shapes, one of which is unmistakably the array that was noticed from orbit. From the ground, it is an impressively tall, tapered... I hesitate to use the word structure because I keep on using it, but that's what I'm going to say. It's a solid structure that starts wide at the base and tapers to a point, but at the top of its point, is a very wide segmented dish array that then has a tapered to a point focusing lens, which is pointed very firmly towards the sky. But right to the left of it is this impressively large building, which has other smaller buildings bolted onto it. And as you get closer, you realize that this large building, which is at least several stories tall, we're talking like 13 floors to the thing, is itself stylized as a pentagon, with the smaller sub-buildings attached to it themselves pentagonal in shape. This building is separate from the array, does not appear to be made of the material of the monolith. This does appear to be made of materials that you have come across so far in the ruins of what you found here. But it is a
anybody
definite
else
large building.
familiar with the ancient Earth tradition of the cargo cult?
Natala might need to explain that.
It's Alex knows, but it's like I just wouldn't.
I think that Edwards might be the one other person who would be.
He's an archaeologist, and it's interesting ancient history.
Xeno history, not human.
Yeah, humans are boring. I like aliens.
Yeah, you weren't born on Earth though, so
Yeah.
technically.
No,
Yeah,
he was born on the frontier colony.
Yeah, so there you go. Xenobiology history applies to the history of your own culture, because you're not native to the actual planet of your culture's birth.
And therefore alien.
I'm therefore fine with Edwards knowing of what John was talking about.
Yes, I am. Though it's an interesting hypothesis, Lieutenant Commander.
Effectively, these were native peoples of a significantly less developed civilization that witnessed the landing and maneuvering of logistics for a large military operation by aircraft that didn't understand that even aircraft were a possibility until these troops and their planes arrived. And they came to the understanding that if you made a runway and you lit it with torches, a great bird would land from the sky and provide you with crates and crates of supplies. And so they modelled their civilization on these runways and prayed for cargo to arrive, constructing landing strips,
Drop points as well.
yeah, wearing effectively parodies of uniforms. It seemed relevant.
Well, either way, there appear to be a large pair of double doors that serve as entrance to this, as Jan put it, edifice. And if Nova consults her tricorder, she does find that there is another power emission coming from within this building. This one seems more pronounced and has been as you've been getting closer to it. If you were to use this potentially with that battery that whomever was carrying it is carrying it, this might be a significant enough power source that you could gain. You could maybe siphon it for power. For your
Did anyone bring the battery?
I assumed somebody did, because somebody at least made the effort of saying they were bringing it. I thought it was Edwards. He may have parred it off to somebody.
Yeah, I think because I've not done a lot, is Andrews would have probably brought it.
Okay, that's fine with me.
She's probably the strongest one to bring it as well.
Good point. So, you get closer to the building, as it seems that the array itself doesn't appear to have any kind of entrance, but it does seem, when you conduct close-range scans of it, the array does seem to have power leads and other type of connections that suggest it was controlled via this pentagonal edifice. Somewhere inside, at the very least. There are a large pair of double doors, as I said. They look like they might once have been automatic doors, but the power for those doors and the sensor have long since ceased operation. So to get inside, you'd need to find a way of opening the doors yourselves. They do seem to be fairly sturdy. They've weathered the weather well.
Any control mechanisms, or is it literally just a doorknob?
There's no door handle, there's no doorknob. It looks like they were meant to be, you know, automatic doors.
Is there any of the markings like there was on the other?
Yeah, we've seen the effective equivalent of control panels.
Yeah, and there does appear to be something that looks like a keypad, certainly, for potentially for security access. Yeah.
We never did get to use our phasers that we were planning to charge the monolith with, but we did prepare them. We could try and use them to power the keypad to get the door open.
Yeah. If you want to do that.
Yeah, I'll hand it to Andrews, I guess. It's better at security. It's a security override.
Yeah.
It's a point and click.
But at the same time, yeah, Andrews has got knowledge of security systems, and yeah, it makes, you know, at the very least, Andrews could either be the lead with assistance or could assist. So it's, I'm fine with either.
Yeah, if people are happy with that.
Right. So who's leading the charge on this, and who's assisting?
Who assisted Vibers in finding the loose connections, so where we need to power a thing on their device? I think it was that Natala and Edwards that were helping on that check. So possibly we could provide the same assistance to Andrews on this one.
If everyone's okay with that?
Yep.
No, I think actually Keval's security skill is higher than mine now.
As I say, I don't have any real security, so...
Putting me to shame.
Well, if that's the case, then the two of you would make
better use.
Good use. And maybe
You can
one...
shout the advice from the distance.
Actually, Braavo as well has got pretty good security, so if you want to go purely security, then the three of them are good choices, but if you want to add a bit of science or engineering to it, then any of the others would be too. So
how many is it we can roll?
Let's
5
prove
dice.
Team Shooty can do it.
Yeah. At most 5 dice, so 2 from Andrews, 1 from Thazan, and 1 from Braavo. That leaves room for buying, 2 more if you really wanted to.
I think, as I say, Thazan's got level 5 security. You should take the lead and I'll assist.
Okay. That's fine.
Plus, I'm carrying a battery, so I can't aim. That's my excuse.
Well, you can put it down to aid.
I am carrying a battery, so I can't aim.
It's the most important task.
You might need to beam someone with it.
He's plugged his cybernetics into it to see what will happen. That's why he can't put it down.
Part of him now.
Yeah, you've got three people. That's 1, 2, 3, 4 dice. So you can either have one person buy another dice with momentum, or you can have one other person assist. It's entirely up to you.
Shall we go for the full assist?
I am going to spend a threat to make the difficulty 1 bit higher.
Guys, spend momentum.
How do you want to dice?
Does Keval want to
Need
spend
to give him
momentum?
more threat rather than the momentum.
Yeah, 3 dice from Keval would be a nice one.
I think 6 momentum. I think we might spend 1 there.
Okay. So first, let's do the assists. If Braavo and I think Andrews can do their assists on, let's go with
Control and security.
What was that? Sorry.
Control and security.
5 manipulation of the security system. Okay, yeah, I can go with that. Let her rip.
Any of my foci for this? Oh dear, sorry.
Advanced hand-to-hand combat. You punch the thing. Battlefield tactics, PTSD, survival training. Not really. This is an alien device. It's more tech, so it's basically a flat one. So no successes. A complication.
We're getting a lot of them today.
Help me!
Right, then eliminated.
Yeah, Can we spend the momentum to reroll?
Nah, let's do it.
I was
We're
going
not
to say, I
doing
thought
that.
we can't do that. Yeah.
Yeah, you
I know,
can't
Can't
do that.
do that
no.
anymore. Because that was not in rules as written, which was my mistake, and yeah, sorry about that. Sorry if I didn't make it clear that we're not using
Right,
that
no
anymore.
worries. It's been, I've been to bed since then.
So, Keval, if you want to spend the momentum to make it 3 dice rather than, or rather, Jan,
Yes.
get Keval to spend the momentum to do the
Help us
Um,
stay out of the
Applicable
horror
focus.
Ooh.
Oh dear.
Security
got a hand
protocols,
phaser
not so
focus.
much. Hand phasers, yeah, okay. You can use the hand phasers because you know how to then use it as a means of trying to basically. You're not trying to blow the lock. You're trying to.
No, it's like we've made it into a surgical implement for this purpose.
Excuse me, I'm cleaning my throat a lot. So hand phasers focus.
dynamic situations need to be mastered.
Successes, which is 1 more than you needed, so that momentum comes straight back.
I could think of a
Was
complication.
a
Andrew forgets that she's
complication.
carrying the battery.
Drops it on foot.
All right.
I didn't crash it.
Throws
So,
it at the door by accident.
with some consultation of your fellows, all 3, modify the charge of their phasers, keeping it to the handheld units. They all 3 of them agree on a low-ish setting, yet still with enough juice to maybe cause a targeted surge in the security system in order to power it and get the doors to basically release themselves. So the panel is opened up, you can see the circuitry in, so you've got a fairly good idea of where to aim and how much juice to give it. The 3 of you together on a lowish setting, trying to spread the shots apart so that it affects different systems and hopefully cause the result you want. You all let rip with your phasers. So I just need a phaser now. So the phasers let loose, and they all fly straight towards the panel, and then the energy starts to travel. Not only does it go into the security system you wanted, it then starts to bleed out and outline very well the various circuit-like etchings that run not only through the outside but also through the inside of the building. Evidently, even though it's not made from the same material as the monolith, they still even based some of their building methods on that discovered of the monolith. So the energy starts to channel its way through, and you see the whole pentagonal building and its smaller ones illuminate as the almost like arteries, or circuit-like arteries, illuminate and travel through the entire edifice. And as they reach the summit, they kind of all collect down and then just vanish before all of a sudden there's a massive surge of power that your tricorders all detect from inside the structure. It seems to be coming from somewhere. It seems to be coming from somewhere in the middle of this building, a level or so below ground level, and you can practically feel the air thrumming with power as it then channels its way out of the circuitry into the array, and the array then directs a beam that lances out into the sky. And it's at this point that you get a message from the Navis.
Please don't pee. Oh god, we're going down.
Wait. Team, respond. Over. Captain. can.
Mr. Edwards, can you attempt to stabilize that connection?
Yeah, try using the modified audio receiver, see if I can get hold of the connection.
Okay. Which you do. Once again,
Captain?
this is the Navis. Oh, we've got you. I don't know what you just did, but a beam just shot out of the planet and has grabbed hold of the Navis. It appears to be some form of tractor beam or gravity beam. It's got us held fast. Wait. There's something happening. The ship is being moved. This ship is being moved. Wait. We're detecting another tractor beam emanating from the other planet. Away, team. The Navis has been snared. Repeat, the Navis has been snared by 2 different tractor beams emanating from the 2 planets. We're reading severe stresses on the hull of the ship. The Navis is being pulled apart. If you can, get to whatever is powering or controlling that device and shut it down. We don't have long before our hull integrity gives out and the ship is pulled into pieces.
Okay. Everyone watch out for any security devices like there were on the previous building. I don't predict there being any active, but we should still be alert for them.
Now that this big one's definitely active, I'm gonna start reaching out again to see if I can find the hello.
Once again, you don't find any presence in this one.
Yeah.
But the automatic doors have swooshed open.
Is it just me, or does it seem as if these 2 monoliths are like siblings fighting over something?
So basically, can I scan for things that are likely to shoot bolts of plasma at us?
Well, with the sheer amount of power you got being generated by this edifice, it's going to be a little tricky, but not impossible. Control plus science. I'm gonna make it a tricky one, so I'm gonna say a 3. You need to get this one done.
Somebody want to help, or
if somebody wants to help.
What's the check needed to aid?
What are you actually doing again, John? Sorry.
basically scanning to make sure that there's no security devices inside this automatic door that are about to vaporize us.
Okay. Yep. So that's going to be control plus science.
Don't mind assisting if you want.
Will this be out of reach for ancient technology, or?
No. No. That's a fair focus to use it. Somebody. Never mind.
Oh.
Wowza!
He finds out what's going to blow us when it blows up in his face.
Okay.
Door closes.
The doors are still open. You don't see anything that suggests that there are laser beams waiting to destroy you.
Is that another tricorder gone?
No. Two or more other characters were involved, and Mum means no complication here.
Either way, you don't believe there are any security measures like disintegrator beams in the walls like you met on Bacchus 4.
Yeah, the wonderful DM thing if you don't see any.
Yes, exactly. As far as you're aware, there's nothing there. I need to get it printed on the t-shirt. So, the doors are now open. Do you wish to proceed?
I don't think we have much choice. We have to proceed, yeah.
Nice. Okay, so.
Oh. Yeah. I was about to make a snide comment, but no.
Right, I'm going to change this down a peg.
It's so dark.
As I populate the place with y'all. So 2 scouts and the other folks. So you eventually make your way through the double doors and find yourselves in what looks like a lobby, almost. So now that the whole place has been powered again, there are a couple of installations, signs and whatnot that suggest that this was some kind of publicly accessible place. But as you make your way through, trying to find the central bit, you do come across what looks like this security checkpoint. So, you should be in the... I hope you can see this map. Can you see this map?
Yep.
Yep, awesome.
Yes.
So, you've got what looks like here a security scanner. There's a locked door, which makes sense because it's probably tied to the scanner. There's what looks like a security office maybe here. And on the other side, there's another security checkpoint.
It's probably worth checking the office.
I see what this is trying to scan for, maybe?
Okay, yep. You've got an advantage going in here, so let's go with insight and engineering, insight and science, whichever one you want to use. I would prefer it if either Andrews or Thazanan or both assisted here, because this is a security booth, or even the Braavo. So you could get a better idea of what's going on.
Yep, happy to take volunteers.
It's because Nova would get an idea of structurally what it was meant to do, but to be able to read these security-based applications of what she learns, she will probably need a security familiar interpreter, as it were. So whoever wants to...
Andrews and Keval want to help them.
Keval or Braavo because they're nearest.
Okay.
Okay.
I think Braavo can jump in there. Well, we'll just scan around with his eyes.
So Keval is just there keeping an eye on things, yes?
Yep.
Okay.
He's only got one good eye, so...
But I've got 2 antennae.
Exactly. Good point. Okay, so one success for that. If I can get Braavo to give me an insight plus security. Just one dice.
So was that just one dice? Cool.
Yeah. No successes. Okay.
Doing well today.
That's fine, because Nova's able to point out that this is obviously a scanning device of some such, and it is linked to that door. It bears resemblance to a security checkpoint scan. What it's actually looking for, you're not entirely certain, but in order to open up one of those 2 side doors, you would need to somehow fulfill the criterion for the security checkpoint checking you through. Unless, of course, you wanted to somehow break into the security office.
Does it have a lock that looks like we can hit it with a phaser and it'll fall off?
It certainly looks like it has an interface panel that you could do stuff with.
So, can I give a go at trying to understand what potential criteria it might need using Bravo's tricorder as he gave it to me, using, I said, science focus ancient technology?
As a question for whether that's likely to work, how much of this looks ancient and how much of it looks like the kind of facade over ancient technology, like they've already plated over it with stuff?
With what has been discovered thus far by everybody, I can give you a freebie and say that this definitely matches the technology of the native folk. The fact that you are inside this large complex, it's managed to stay relatively intact because the weather is basically going on outside.
I was going to say, because the focus has worked on their technology, the other stuff is older, so that would still work on the older stuff.
Yeah, and I'm fine with that.
So is it engineering present insight or is it science?
Either works for me. If you have a
Okay.
preference, then you can lean that way, certainly.
Certainly. Okay, science then.
I am
I
gonna...
didn't blow this one up.
Never mind. One success. Okay, yeah. It looks like there is a pattern inside of the computer that appears to be the means by which it compares anything going through that checkpoint with a set criteria. By giving that criteria to Nova and Natala,
I was about to say, like, using that could I guide them to be able to like reset it to a value that would let us through.
it looks like it's a security checkpoint that's going to let through only the natives themselves. Anybody not native that tries to go through will trigger the alarm.
Doctor, do you have enough information on each of us to basically give it some new instructions?
Ooh.
We had to reset the DNA sequencer.
Give it a go.
Interesting.
I might need someone to help me with the actual mechanics while I try and actually work out what the genetics of what it'll actually accept.
I'd say probably each of us here aiding Bertram would probably be the way forward.
Bertram can definitely be the primary.
Yeah.
It will probably need someone on the engineering side to do the direct interface. Somebody with a security setting will be needed as well to interface with the fact that it's a security booth scanner. So that's already one principal and 2 aides that need to be in different directions. So that gives you 1 extra to add however you want to go aid this by.
I'd say what about me, Nova for the engineering, me for the sciences.
Well, Keval's got the security protocols, which
and then Keval
very...
for the...
Yeah,
so us 3 aiding Bertram.
If everyone's alright with that?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Bertram has got genetics. So
I was going to ask if genetics works for us.
So yeah, okay. Substitute human genetics for this. So Bertram would recognise that it is a genetic scan. So it'd be like, this is the template that you're comparing it to. So if I switch these around, so he recognises genetic coding. Natala. Sorry, hang on. No, not Natala. Bleh. I keep getting the names confused because they both begin with N. Nova can give me. Now you're physically altering something, so you can do control or daring, whichever one Nova likes, and this one's going to be the engineering side of things. Control or daring for Edwards and adding science to the aid there. So it's going to be 2 dice for Bertram, 1 dice for each of Nova and Edwards. Was somebody going to aid with the security side of things?
Keval's. So do you say only daring plus science? Was that to aid
or control plus science? Either one.
I'll take control, thank you.
Keval, either control or daring plus security.
What am I rolled in, Matt? Was it
2 dice. We will go with control plus medicine, since you're manipulating a computer program.
Okay.
And you're all doing terrifically well here. Good lordy lorks. 1, 2, so 1 success there, 2 successes there, 1 success there. Everyone manipulates the parts of the machine that they need to manipulate in order to achieve a success, and sure enough, you manage to reprogram the security scanner so that it accepts everyone that's present, human, Andorian, Beta Z, going through. And Nobulan, let's not forget the Nobulan. Ooh! I nearly made a faux pas there.
Basically carbon-based life forms.
Yes.
But not
incidentally, Keval, with his 2 successes there, manages to notice a subroutine in the security system that ties to an activation sequence which would have released some kind of security measure had you tried passing through there and not been part of the template that was compared against. So there apparently is a security system in place here. What it pertains to, you're not sure, but you know there is one.
I'll point out the subroutine to the others, just so they're aware of maybe what to look for in case we do this again.
Alright then, so, copy you all. Let's move you inside. You get past the security checkpoint and you eventually make it to a very large internal space. Now let me gather you all together, because it splits you apart a lot. And where's the dock? Where's the dock gone? There's the dock. Let's bring Nova a bit closer in, even though her curiosity is going off the scale. So, yeah.
Oh, yay. This is... Wow.
So, from where you are, you look through and you see in the middle of this enormous chamber beyond where you currently are. Where you're currently at looks very much like the door to the left has a large set of windows which lead off into what looks like some kind of... sorry, that's the one on the right is what looks like some kind of control booth. On the left looks like crates and spare parts. Similarly, there's lots of basic technology bits and pieces scattered around. But there is a audible thrum of power coming from within the middle, and as your eyes track through this opening that you've got here, which looks almost like a decontamination room, you can definitely see in the middle there's this massive crystalline array which is crackling with energy and pulsing with power, and there's basically the underneath it is the point of a rather large monolith. It looks like they built this facility right atop a monolith of size comparable to the one you found on Bacchus 4.
Well, those airlocks look very sensible, given they live on a planet covered in metal dust. You wouldn't want any of that near any sensitive technology.
So
Dust was there at the time.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Yeah, because we indicated they did something dumb and blew themselves up. Maybe the metal dust was caused by whatever catastrophe they unleashed. Anyway, we need to be careful that we don't do something else along those lines.
Right. And while you're doing this, I am going to roll 7 damage dice, which means, for some reason, I've got Nova selected, so Nova is hurting the Navis. You get a report that the Navis is taking damage. That is... Right, so let me check my notes. It's also high yield, so the Navis is taking structural damage. That was a rather large one, as she's been pulled apart by the competing forces. So you are now in a race against time.
Did you say that this round thing by here looks like some sort of decontamination chamber?
Yes.
Okay, I want to go over and scan it to see if there's... Like, I can work out if it is a decontamination chamber, what its decontaminated case, just in case we walk in and it decontaminates.
Yeah, is it possible to activate it without us being in it? Basically, just watch it run a cycle without us running inside it.
Control plus science, please. And we'll go with regular control plus science with no focuses applicable. Make it 1. Difficulty 1. Two successes, so you get 1 over. So yeah, you definitely recognize that as decontamination sequence. It's comparable more to if anyone's worked in like computer chip industry or stuff like that. They give you clean suits to wear so that you don't, because there's usually a lot of particle dust, but also to try and, if I remember correctly, to try and reduce static, I think.
Yeah.
So it's that kind of thing. So it's not
Right.
trying to decontaminate you of
So can it filters
biological
air and
particles.
Right. Do I think that it's sort of like safe for us to go through?
You're
Yeah.
in a spacesuit.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. You're
Okay,
wearing
so-
EVA suits, so
What
I'll
is
say-
this room that me and Braavo found?
it seems to be some kind of control room, and the consoles are active.
Try scanning to see if I ascertain if there'd be something linked to the airlock controls.
Control plus science, please. What are you going to say, Webby?
I
Sorry.
think we need to take as a group. We need to understand which consoles do what
Mm-hmm.
within the facility, and then shut down the one that is the gravitational beam.
Okay.
I'm guessing it's going to be something with a big glowy thing.
More than likely, but it may not be. It may be
Oh,
the big
fine,
glowy
fine.
thing isn't actually activated within the big glowy thing control bit. There's a control room to the
I
side.
think I've just broken another tricorder.
Okay, so you didn't break another tricorder, but you did get 2 successes, and you realise that this is a power control station. The readout that you're seeing seems to suggest that they've got 4 different, for lack of a better term, interfaces connected to the monolith, and they use that to draw power from the monolith to power the facility. And it seems to suggest that this building also acts as a means of power distribution. This facility transmits power to other, or did transmit power to other cities and other settlements
So
on the
if
planet.
you turned on all of the lights and radiators in all of the Pentagon buildings that the natives made, that might drain enough power from the ancient device that it stops tractor beaming.
It's possible, but you would
I'm waiting
need
to hear about the
to.
complication.
You would need. You think if you were going to try and shut the thing down, you would need to have someone in each of the 4 different control rooms, all turning off the specific collectors in order to depower the whole thing. Or if you wanted to do what John suggested, 4 people in each of them trying to have the collectors draw as much power as they can to overload the thing. But as you do, where is what I was looking for?
This scan
An
thing can
alarm
keep going.
sounds. At which point,
I'll transmit basically the data from this to everyone else.
Intruders
So I'm explaining it.
in main power collection area. Deploying security.
I'll guard Edwards. You won't get direct power off any other 3.
You can run around the outside.
Moving into the
Rather-
airlock.
Okay then.
I just realised I was on mute. Is that Andrews would state that yes, Edward, Fazanan, Braavo, and her take up defensive positions. The other 3 get inside the control, the main part of the facility.
okay.
Okay.
So arrange
Oh,
yourself.
sorry, the other 4. Yeah, sorry, I
have
forgot. I
time?
forgot Bertram was there.
We have time
Do
Wait,
apologise, Bertram.
Do you want me inside there with you or what? Where do you want me?
Sir,
The gap.
we need to turn off the power and all these things.
We do need 4 inside.
Only-
Or do we need to leave one person on the control room we've already found?
That's what I was asking.
From
What would you find out?
That's
Okay.
the point. This clarification, mate. Did you mean there are 4 other control rooms like this, or did you mean
Yes.
these 4 set? Okay, so it's more we look to find these ones. Okay, so there's potentially going to be all the way around the room then. If we've got to find 3 more.
Follow the bridges.
That means someone needs to still stay here then.
Yes.
I'll stay.
All right then. So, move yourselves where you want to move yourselves.
I'd say someone might need to go with you for security.
I can see what looks like a security droid from where I'm standing.
Yes, indeed
It's
they do.
across the bridges from me.
So,
yes. We need to divvy up our forces.
These quadrupedal scuttling robots appear from out of two separate areas inside of the main chamber. They appear to be armed with some kind of railgun-like device on their backs, and as they scuttle into place, they emit some kind of blue scanning beam and sweep the area, upon which they notice yourselves.
Right, I would suggest then is that Keval and Andrews to go with the rest of the group. Braavo stays to defend Edwards, but we keep an active tactical comm at all times between the three to coordinate what's going on, so we can rotate round to assist.
While they're getting in position, I'll probably start.
Nominate this control room 1.
I think while everyone's getting in position, probably look for any way of interfering with the security, or at least lessening it or turning it off.
You've got, because time is of the essence, I'm going to limit you to one thing. So you're either shutting off the power, or overloading it, or interfering with security, but one or the other.
Power off first. Power off is the most important thing.
Okay.
Because if the Navis gets destroyed, then we're stuck here.
Yeah. Okay.
Right. So, initiative in this is, as usual with Star Trek, is going to be a bit loose. I'm not adding you to the initiative step. We're just going to go with whoever wants to go first, followed by a security droid, unless, of course, you want to spend initiative to hold the initiative. So.
No, because I can just use quick to action. During the first round, you and your allies may ignore the normal cost to retain the initiative, so nah.
So, absolutely, all of you guys can choose to all go first before the security droids. So, yeah, who wants to go first out of you lot?
I guess Webby from that one.
Okay, absolutely, so go for it.
Right, okay.
They kind of all clustered in the clean room at the moment, so...
Yeah, okay, so I would nominate, I'm going to use my other talent of follow my lead to nominate Vazanan, so that the next task that an ally attempts counts as having assistance from you using your presence plus.
How does space area work in this game? Obviously, is Keval able to squeeze into the airlock with us, or is there just not enough room?
I'm fine with you, with him moving through you all, or moving in with you all. Consider the middle area one zone, the areas adjacent to that another zone, and the outer areas their own zone. You can cross one zone. You can cross into one zone easily enough with just a fast action. The slow actions are the ones you do for doing tasks. That we can just play fast and loose with everyone scooching in together. So, what's the first action? Who's doing what? Was Andrews doing the first thing, or was she getting Keval to do the first thing? Right, okay.
So, right, these bits in the middle, are they kind of like, they're actually consoles?
So, there are what look like control clamps here, and here, and these massive devices here appear to be the collectors, which are bolted down. So this is one big platform, which is sitting directly above the point of the monolith. This is more like almost like a missile silo, which the monolith is sat inside of. So
there is cover, like if I get it.
So these are clamped onto the monolith and are apparently drawing power out of it.
So I would move to there, so that I'm not being. I'm in cover on both sides there, but I can shoot through.
You can duck up and shoot, and you count having cover from that one, certainly. The other one depends on where it moves.
Okay, yeah, cool. Control security to shoot, isn't it?
Indeedly do. So, we've got that.
With battlefield tactics as a foci.
Yep, so it's difficulty 2, I believe, to hit.
That's the standard.
Jesus.
Okay.
Should have asked Peeps if I could spend a momentum because we've got 6.
You can also spend your fast action to aim, I think, but I think you have to not move to do that, don't you?
Yeah.
There we are. So, okay, so that was you kind of Andrews races to get into position behind cover, ducks up, shoots. The shot goes a bit wide.
Yeah, but it's draw the fire. There we go. Yeah, it was a tactical shot.
Drawing fire. So who's going next? Was it going
use of the drawing fire. I might just try and race from this airlock into the airlock opposite.
Yep.
Just scout out the next area.
Off you go. Zigzagging, just not going in a straight line, just in case they shoot
just
at you.
yeeted herself over the side of the balcony.
And then swinging around the balcony and, or rather the railing, and bring herself back on. Showing off is what we call it. Right, so that's a fast action that you're able to use that to race over the gantry towards where you are now. You can use, rather than a slow action, you can use another fast action to get into another room if you wish.
I can see another control panel area, so I'm going to head for that.
Okay, yep, no problem. Alright, so that's Natala. Who wants to go next? Anybody? Is it going to be Keval going out? Or is it going to be Nova getting to a control panel? Who's it going to be?
If nobody's going to volunteer, I'll take it.
Okay. So, yeah.
So the security room is this one, isn't it?
Yes, security room.
No, security room, control room, sorry.
Yeah. So you can position yourself anywhere within this central area as part of your fast action.
And I'm going to start trying to see if this is interfacing directly with the monolith on the left.
Yeah. From what you can see here, it's sat right atop the thing, so your best guess from the level of heat that's going on with this thing, there's probably another geothermal vent down below, but the size of this monolith that sat underneath where you're stood is such that it's funneling a huge amount of geothermal energy up, and it's therefore creating a natural but also very powerful power source. So it's definitely utilizing the monolith as its energy siphon almost, and then this is just sitting on top and is drawing power out of the monolith itself as it's channeling the power up from basically the core of the planet.
Does there appear to be any readouts of the monolith in this area?
Not this area, no. This is the actual device itself. So you would guess that that would probably be more the purview of something like one of the control rooms.
Pretty much the only original ancient thing in this room is the bit in the middle, and everything underneath it. Almost everything in this room is new tech.
Yeah, but it's interfaced, so I want to find out. So.
Yep, that's fine.
I'm happy to waste my turn doing that. So.
Okay. Next is Bertram or Keval gonna go?
I guess I can go.
Yep, if Keval fancies his chances against one of the security bots or doing something else.
Yeah, I think I'll move up. Ooh, okay. It's a straight line. Nope, okay. It's just...
Do your best.
That's right.
The walls are a bit crooked since there's a lot of circular. There we are, jinking and diving.
take a position there and then see if I can hit them.
Difficulty 2. You've got your foci. Let's see what you manage.
If nobody minds, I'm going to spend a point of momentum just because we've got so many.
Everyone alright with that?
I'm alright with that.
We'll take the silence as a unanimous yep. Do it.
Yep.
Okay. One success. So it was 2 successes you needed to hit. So that momentum was down. Didn't come back.
You didn't actually spend any.
Oh, didn't?
I didn't actually spend. I only rolled 2 dice. I forgot to up the dice.
Right. My mistake. Thank you for pointing it out. In which case, yes, that's another shot that goes slightly wide. Not only does it go slightly wide, the shot comes so near to the security droid that the phaser kind of bends around, and it does hit the droid, but it hits it on its chassis, and you see the beam just kind of filter through the chassis, and it seems to power up the droid. So you've just given the security droid a bit of a power boost. As a result, I'm going to use that complication to up the threat just a little bit more. Does Bertram want to run to anyone in particular now that he's free to act?
Yep. Well,
Yep. Okay.
as he runs in, he finally actually gets to see where these bloody droids are, which is now explains to me why people weren't actually trying to run to the actual places with the control rooms.
So it's very much a moment of
So that's why they just gone to the centre and are shooting phasers around. I'm gonna basically run to centre.
That's
Right there, so like crouch down and because
Go on.
sorry, what?
So do you have any energy draining moss? Just throw some at the damn bots if they absorb energy from the outside. And
Yes, because I'm dumb enough to bring energy draining moss onto a hostile planet like this in an EA suit that I'm desperately in need of to survive this place that has its own energy supply and will die on me if the moss gets into it. No, I did not bring energy draining moss onto this expedition.
What are you doing then, Doc?
I'm going to. Can I prepare to leap on anyone with my medical stuff if they get injured?
Yeah, okay,
like
sure.
As I'm assuming these droids are about to start firing back with those rail guns, I believe the description was.
Okay, no problem. So this gives either Braavo or Edwards, whoever wants to go first.
I'm happy to go last.
Okay, so Braavo, what are you doing? You can hear phaser fire going on out there.
Right. I'll move myself to here. Hopefully I'll be able to see something. No. There. Yep, it's all clear.
Still nothing. You can still keep moving. It's well within your ability to get to the edge of here. There you go. You can see one.
I can see one, and I've still got a good shot on Edward. So this is pretty much where I'm holding out. So I'm hiding behind the wall here, but poking around to shoot. I'm just putting there so I can see.
Yep, put him there so you can see, so you can take a shot. No problem. Go for it.
Okay. Right, and what do I roll for shooting with a phaser?
So this is going to be control plus security. You're going to need 2 successes to hit.
Okay.
And take momentum if you want.
Type 3 is a hand phaser, right?
The Type 3 is the rifle.
Damn it, I can't use my focus for hand phaser for Type 3 then.
I'll allow it.
Cool.
It's in your hand and it's a phaser.
That's what I was going for.
3 successes, 1 over what you needed. So that is
And
a
8
certified
damage.
hit. So yeah, roll those damage dice, and since you rolled
How do I
one
do that?
over, actually before you do, you got one success over what you needed. You are on maximum momentum. You can spend that extra point of momentum that you got to add another dice of damage.
Yep.
This charge weapon.
So how do I roll damage?
Well,
Can't
if you click on the phaser rifle's image in your belongings,
Aha.
it should bring up how many dice you want to roll, add one more, and then click away.
That help?
So that was a solid shot. This thing has got armor, so it does resist some of that, which means it takes... And you've got effects on it, which means that Braavo puts a very telling shot right through the front visor of the security droid, basically shooting out its not only its primary sensor array, but also right through its computer core. Kaboom! It just kind of judders and falls over, twitching to one side, its legs curling up in the air like a spider.
One down, Andrews.
Nicely done. So that leaves Edwards.
Now, did you say does it have to be done simultaneously, the power down, or can I
No,
just
I
start
did
the
not.
process here? Okay, yeah, I'll start the process. Actually, hit the combos first. Are we going for the overload or the power down? Please confirm I'm about to start the process.
What do you want? Power up or power down? If no one's got any ideas, I would suggest turning it
I
off.
suggest power down, sorry.
Yep.
Because if we do power up and we set up a bomb on the Romulan neutral zone,
Good point. All right.
Power
so
up might still
power surge
work normally.
Down, affirmative. Thank you,
was that,
Commander.
Yeah, if there's a power surge, might just boost the tractor beam on the ship and rip it apart.
yeah, that's a
So,
good point.
what
Actually.
do I need?
So this is going to be control plus science. You can use your ancient technology. This is going to be difficulty 2.
May I take a momentum?
Absolutely. All right, spend momentum. You get 3 dice.
Alpha!
Oh my.
2 successes, so you did it. Success at cost, which means the Navis takes some more damage.
Oh no.
All right then. So you did do it. You've shut down that console. That's 1 down.
I'm gonna have to
One
start
out of 4
rolling
down.
Vibers. I was gonna have to start rolling Vibers repair rolls shortly.
Does it still have a fast move?
That's a good point.
I'm not the only one
Edwards,
that's been rolling complications, damn it, Nova.
Edwards, you've got a fast move, so you can at least move yourself to where you want to be next, or close to where you want to be next. As we are.
How hot is it looking in there, Commander?
Pretty hot. Under fire, 1 target down. Would be a clipped report back.
Chilies.
On a scale of 1 to chili.
Is the way clear for me to try and get to another console?
Nova and the Doc and Keval could probably tell you that the one on the southeast is probably clearest, since the droid that came from that direction is down. So that'll be your best bet.
Okay, so move there, like prepare to do a runner.
Would he have enough to get to the east
Yeah,
end?
you'll have enough. I'll put you there. Alright, so now it's the droid's turn. The droid has got a selection of targets. It's going to reposition itself to there. It's going to take the closest one. It's going to try a control plus security shot. Using that, it only rolls 1 success, so its shot goes wide as Andrews ducks behind her cover. So, round 2. Who wants to go first out of you guys? I'm going to go with... If there's no volunteers, I'm going to go with who went first before. Cool.
Yeah.
Andrews! You saw Braavo put down one of them, so...
Do you know what? Rifles aren't my strong point.
Oh god.
Run up to it and punch it.
Leroy Jenkins.
Leroy Jenkins!
Sorry, and we
Is it fitness or daring? I can't remember.
It's, yes, daring plus security, and this
Daring.
is
And I'm going to use advanced hand-to-hand combat.
Oh, you're still a punch.
That's a focus, yep.
Broken hand on Ward 2.
He's got a
Cybernetic
metal hand.
Okay, you get a complication for the hand. Oh,
Yeah.
no.
And
She
I
was right.
roll the same, and we compare the two. One success. So, yep, Andrews wins out. So, roll your unarmed. 5 successes and an effect, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, and a knockdown. So it's quadrupedal. So Andrews rears back and smashes a fist into it, which drives it onto its side. But it's quadrupedal, so it'll probably be able to get its legs underneath and get up, no problem. But for now, it is dropped to the floor. With this in mind, who wants to go next? Natala raced off to another control room.
Well,
So it might be
yeah,
time
but you
for
recognise the
Natala.
term Shremek, or is that not translated?
I don't know what that is, sorry, so you'll have to...
From Robot Wars. The
Self-rating mechanism.
I see. Natala, what did I give you to do? It was... Control plus...
Science? For the...
Science, yeah. This is going to be difficulty 2. Feel free to use momentum if you want to use it.
At this point, do people want to save momentum for if they get shot, or...
Just spend it.
Okay.
Just do it!
We get enough momentum with successes and things as we go, so we need to be less careful with it.
3 successes, which means you get 1 back. So, Natala successfully powers down another one. That's your slow action. What's your quick?
Move back into the area. I'm guessing back to the middle and take cover with everyone else until...
Alrighty. So, moving next. Who wants to go next? Nova? Nova did move next.
So I'm going to run and leap down the stairs and try and hit the underside of this thing.
So, are you gonna try and basically punch the security droid?
Pretty much, yeah. Just dive on it and try and either
Okay.
restrain it or hold it down or something.
So this is gonna be
start
daring,
dismantling it.
daring
Yeah,
plus
so it's fun.
security.
Just find loose
We're-
connections and just start ripping.
With your acrobatic brawling focus, and yeah, you're going to need 1 success to hit. Or we're going to compare successes actually. So the bot is going to be at a slight disadvantage because it's on its side, so it's going to need 1 extra success. So it only gets 1. So yeah, Nova, feel free to roll an armored damage. 2 and an effect, so that's another 2. As she basically leaps off of Andrews, donk, 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 drops a stomp down on the thing. So yep, there's a definite crack as some of the chassis buckles, but it's still intact and working. Next, Doc, you've got no one at the moment that looks like they're in need of help. So it's up to you if you want to move somewhere, or if you want to try and do one of the control panels yourself.
You could probably get past this while we restrain it.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna go for it.
Yeah.
There's basically a lot of flailing limbs going on, but you
Yep.
can edge your way around the tussle.
Yeah.
without too much of a problem.
I must save the ship.
So from this area to this area, so here's the control room.
Okay.
You yep, you can try and interface with it. So the control
here.
panel's by here.
Right. What am I going to?
Control plus science, if I recall. Difficulty
Yep.
2.
Okie dokie. I don't think, unless this is a convenient plasma power system, I don't think any of my focuses are going
No, I'm
to
afraid not.
kick in.
So feel free to use momentum if you feel it.
Yeah, I was to say, it's alright if I'm romantic, so I don't think any of my values really help here either.
No, they don't.
Seems worthwhile.
Okay.
Okay.
So it's going to be
2
3 dice,
successes.
isn't it? Go on.
Let's see if you
3 successes!
So that's how many power down now? 1, 2, 3. So close. Who hasn't gone yet?
Me.
All right. Does Keval want to join in the brawl, or does he want to try and shut down the?
No, Keval is definitely joining in the brawl.
All right, then off you go.
Bundle.
Also, it's Ushan Tor.
Oh,
Don't
we
break
know
one
it's
too
serious
much.
when.
Don't break one too much. We might have to be able to take one back for examination.
I'll run up and I will attack with Ushan. And I will give you a point of threat to get an extra dice, because that'll allow me to re-roll my dice.
Ooh, absolutely. In which case, I will take that point of threat,
Use it
and
against you.
I will add it
Stab
to
you with it.
myself when I attack back with the bot.
In that case, I'll up the ante and add a point of, or use a point of momentum to take dice.
Alrighty then. In which case, I'm spending another point of threat to add another dice to my attack.
Just give me that thing of pub picking.
It's basically a
Fine.
with bigger nails.
This
Well,
is
that's
Yu-Gi-Oh!
all I'm doing.
I attack,
Can
I
I-
use the smell.
Can I use my looking for adventure value?
Fine. Yeah. This is one big fracas. I'm fine with that. Yeah.
So, determination. Alright. Okay, let's go.
Oh, I've rolled a pitiful 2. And he's rolled 6! Wowza! Alright then, roll that damage. That was a monumental
Damage
success. Yeah, by all means, add an extra 2 damage dice. As he
So it
dive
becomes
bombs.
9.
And then you can re-roll all of these damage dice using your.
2 effects. 5, 1, 2, 3, 4. It is out. It is crushed. It is beaten to a pulp.
The robot to death.
Yep, the bot has been completely wiped out. Reduced to bits and pieces. Alright then, so who do we have left that hasn't gone? Edwards, yep, by all means, get the last one done.
Oh, there we are. Oh, this one. Is it that way? Oh, wrong side.
By the way, Edwards like, which way do I go? Which way do I go? Oh, it's not that one! But it is still
Okay.
part of the same area, so you can make it there in one swift move. So it's going to be, once again, that control plus science.
Okay, if I remember correctly, so the values allow us to make a roll to get extra dice, correct?
So values, if you think the value applies, it will allow you to spend a point of determination, and that will basically earn you an extra dice that has already rolled a 1, and therefore counts as 2 successes automatically.
Those who do not learn from history are doomed to repeat it. I don't want to do the same thing I did last time and activate more security, please.
It's a bit tenuous, but okay, I'll allow it. So I've spent a point of determination, so when you do your roll, there's a checkbox for you to check using determination. Go for it. I know we're running into overtime, but this is just too good to stop. 5 successes is a definite success. The whole place just powers down. Wow. There's a audible hum as the thing just goes down and completely turns to nothing. Incidentally, just as the last bits of power filter through, something seems to crackle and hum to life, and you get another... Oops, that was the wrong tool. You get another hologram seems to spring into life, and you see a trio of figures, one of which bears a resemblance to the doctor you saw from before. One of them, another one is wearing military-esque garb, and another one is wearing some more officious clothing.
I record this with the currently working tricorder from Lieutenant Braavo.
No
So
problem.
I can record it with a holographic imager. Seems to be carrying.
It's basically the officious one is a minister, and rather than do the full dialogue, I'm just going to give you the skinny of what they say. These people, the race themselves, identify themselves as the Roloo Shal, and apparently they looked to use their superior technology to help uplift their neighbors, the Oos, who live on the larger neighboring planet. The Oos are obviously a primitive culture by comparison, and according to what the minister says, the Roloo Shal basically took pity on the Oos, on how they would go through periods of famine, starvation, disease, all of which was preventable by the technology the Roloo Shal had. So even though a scientist like Dr. Agran, the one who was on the recording you first found, he strongly objected to trying to grant technology to a people who were perhaps developmentally not ready for it. And it has now gone horribly wrong. The hologram you're seeing is of these three individuals as they're talking, and they occasionally shake as the facility they're in rocks from the point of impact somewhere outside. The general states that somehow the Oos gained control of the asteroid protection array, which were installed on both planets, in order to try and apparently divert asteroids away from the planets. But the Oos apparently responded aggressively towards the Roloo Shal and decided to use the technology they had been given to hijack control of the array on their planet and started using it to hurl asteroids at the Roloo Shal. The general says that they are now, with the only defense they have is to try and use their own array to throw asteroids back, which shocks the First Minister. And the scientist basically states that I warned you this would happen. The Oos were not ready, and we've now seen the consequences of playing God. And the hologram eventually cuts out. Given the
Prime Directive.
Given the time remaining, you manage to use... Nova manages to hook up the battery that was being carried and uses the residual power left in the collectors to put together a charge that's big enough to... definitely big enough to power the Carpathian to get it back into orbit, and also to replicate the parts needed to repair its systems, enough for it to make to be able to dock once again with the Navis. Unfortunately, when you guys do come across the Navis, you see that there is evidence of some buckling on the outer hull. But thankfully, it seems as soon as you turned off the power down here, Vibers was able to use the sudden respite to send a directed power surge down the other one on the larger planet, the planet that the Oos once used, and managed to basically overload the array on the other side. But the Navis, as a result, is now in pretty bad shape and needs some serious repairs.
It's definitely a fixer-upper.
So, you are going to have to limp back to Narendra Station, but you're able to do so without any other catastrophes happening along the way. So, with that in mind, is there anything else that anybody wants to do when they finally arrive back on ship, and the ship is in at least worthy enough state to leave orbit?
Just letting him out, I sent you a DM a little while ago.
Yes, you did. You did.
Yeah.
You did. Let me track that back. Can I get you to give me an insight plus medicine with... You can use your biotechnology here.
Okie dokie. Can I use my first for knowledge to use a point of determination?
If you really want to. In that case, I'm going to use threat to up the difficulty for this, and I'm not going to tell you what it is.
Gareth,
Okay.
spend a momentum. Spend a momentum.
Is this something you should be?
To momentum.
Is this something you should be doing in one of our new laboratories?
It is.
This is being done in sick bay at the moment, so.
Okay.
But certainly the new laboratories that you set up will now be there, and you'll be able to use them to analyze the technology you brought back.
5 successes.
Dares her to say anything. 5 successes. Wowzer. I am going to send you a message. In return...
My God, the tricorders that Edwards were destroying, they weren't destroyed at all!
What one?
To
They're
find
full
out
of-
what's actually the dark secret the tricorders and Edwards have been sharing.
Tune in next week.
One
God,
thing
they're
goes
full
up
of stars.
and it goes wrong. What? Nova blew up the artifact. Oh no, her combat.
Okay.
Was it her combat?
Yeah.
Ah,
And
thank
one's
God
on the
you're
bottom.
back.
Right, so, yeah.
Here's a welder reach. Grab a patch of hull.
So, yeah, Viper's putting everybody to work, doesn't matter who you are.
Yeah.
Okay, so, yep, go on.
The only exception for that was probably Keval.
Oh, what a
that way.
Yeah.
Don't
yeah.
hit
Oh,
that
what a
on the
pity.
way out.
Tannenbaum's on a triple shift. Oh dear.
Welding on a spacewalk.
No,
In
she's
response-
welding and doing counselling.
In response to what Jan says, no, she doesn't say anything particularly. She just, announces that, are you okay? Is everybody all right? Is there any way down to the monolith or something linked directly to it to interface the crystal? If not, I start working on something to link to it based on what I've learned to communicate. The monolith, the big one, certainly seemed to be just a power siphon. That seemed to be its only function, because it didn't register as having any rooms or anything inside it. So that seemed to be its primary function, and therefore that was what it was being used for. However, you have gained enough insight to another culture's technology which was based on this technology that we will be able to go ahead and, just like we did with Bertram, we can now have Nova have a special little project to make an interface for this crystalline CPU that will be able to take not just Federation technology into account, but also the technology based on these alien monoliths that you're coming across. So we'll get started on that next time. Make our first step on that one, if that's okay.
Already done.
Alrighty. Is there anything else?
Use the
Anybody else?
laboratories.
Use the laboratories. Excellent. Yeah. Totally.
Already sent you mine.
Yeah. Edwards is very happy to bring back one of the security drones. He's like, look what I got. Yeah. New Dougie.
It belongs in the museum.
It does.
I have a feeling that next episode, my character is going to be having a conversation with a certain other character.
Indeedly do.
Yeah.
So, all right then. So we'll deal with essentially downtimes outside of this particular stream, because it has already carried over by an extra 15 minutes, but it was too worth it to not carry on, and too close to the end.
Yeah.
So yes, what are the repercussions of all of this, and what's Admiral Stoker going to make of all of this as well? How much do the crew of the Navis report back to Admiral Stoker? Well, we shall have to find out. But for now, since the stream has run over by 15 minutes, I'm going to say thanks to everybody who watched, and we will hopefully see you next week for a brand new episode. So, live long and prosper, and hailing frequencies closed.